From Boca Raton, Florida, Rabbis Efrem Goldberg, Philip Moskowitz, and Josh Broide are taking you behind the Bima. The BRS rabbis schmooze about contemporary issues and talk to special guests who give a behind-the-scenes look at how they got to where they are and what keeps them going. Welcome to Behind the Bima.
Good evening, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Coming to you live from Boca Raton. I'm Rabbi Efrem Goldberg, joined by my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Joshua Broide, and we are here to take you
behind the Bima.
We're here to take you behind the Bima. Very special edition of the Behind the Bima. We're very excited to be with you. We've got two guests tonight. Very serious conversation with an update from Ukraine. Refael Kruskal, the CEO of Tikva of Odessa, hear from him, leading hundreds of orphans and the community of Odessa on the run in Ukraine. We're going to speak to him where he is, what's happening on the ground. And then we have a phenomenal conversation with Rabbi Eli Stefansky. Eli Stefansky has not just started a Daf, he's running a cult, a Daf community cult. It's extraordinary. It's a movement. It's a wave. And Rabbi Broide has got a big announcement regarding that. But first, a big thank you to our sponsor. Tonight's Behind the Bima, special global edition of Behind the Bima, is generously sponsored by our dear friends, Gilly's Goodies. Gilly's Goodies is the best way to spend Mishloach Manos, to give a sweet hug. You have family in Israel. You have a child studying in Israel. You have children, grandchildren learning a kollel in Israel. And you want to give them a hug this Purim. You want them to get a delivery, a knock on the door, something special from you. Gilly's Goodies is the way to go. Since 2001, Gilly's Goodies delivered tens of thousands of gift baskets for all kinds of occasions. Birthdays, bar mitzvahs, brises, births, happy events, anniversaries, so many different things. You know, we go back, Rabbi Broide,
very long time.
Rabbi Brandon Gilly's Goodies. The very first Mishloach Manos campaign they ran to send IDF soldiers gifts on Purim was Boca Raton Synagogue, and they've given thousands and thousands of gifts to soldiers since then. So do your part. Send a gift to a soldier. You know what it means to a soldier risking their life on the front lines for the Jewish people, for Israel. Get a Purim gift from a Jew in America or South America or South Africa, Australia, England, around the world. Wherever you're listening to Behind the Bima from, go on Gilly's Goodies. Special referred by code is Bima, B-I-M-A, Bima. Put in B-I-M-A, special code. Rabbi Broide, what do you have to say about Gilly's Goodies?
Let me tell you something. First of all, I think we were the first ones. We were the pioneers when it came to sending these Mishloach Manos to army bases. And since then, there's many different places and organizations that want to do it. But when you're thinking about it, you say logistically, how do I get all these different Mishloach Manos to army bases all over the world? People are calling in. You got one address to call. You just go to Gilly's Goodies. This guy gets them wherever you need them delivered. You know, instead of you having to patchka around and figure out which supermarket can I have send something over, you just call David. Just call Gilly's Goodies. They'll get it right over.
Yeah, so send a soldier, send a family member, use the code BIMA, B-I-M-A, special discount, referred by code B-I-M-A, BIMA, and a big thank you to our generous sponsors. So Rabbi Broide, little echo, you sound a little bit like you're in a cave.
I'm in a cave.
Where are you coming to us from right now? Am I allowed to ask? I don't even know where you are right now.
I'm in a place that's a lot colder than Florida.
You're in an undisclosed location, always on the run. Rabbi Brody's not in the same city 2 days in a row these days.
No.
He's busy. He's active. We will give a special shout out. We miss our dear friend Rabbi Moskowitz and love him. Thinking about him, davening for Esther Tehila, Bas Ariel Tzipora, wishing, of course, a refuah shlema, longing for when he comes back. And our hearts, our thoughts, our mind is all with him. I will tell you, Rabbi Broide, you know who I saw today? For a moment. Last week's guest on Behind the Bima.
No way.
We are privileged. Every year we host except during the pandemic, we're honored and privileged that our beloved Yeshiva University, Yeshivos Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, hosts the Rabbinic Yarchei Kala. Rabbis from around the world get together, study with Rabbi Dr. J.J. Schachter and others. And we've been privileged, nothing other than the great weather here that we play host. But dear friends and colleagues, rabbis from around the world come. And this afternoon he flew in, made a presentation and booked out. But I was standing there all of a sudden, tap on the shoulder, my cousin, Rabbi David Beshefkin. So he looked at me right away and he goes, absolutely make a Birchas HaTorah. And we continued our conversation from last week. Yeah. He said he got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of feedback. Best piece of feedback I got from our conversation. My kids thought I was a little strong. It was a debate. It wasn't really Behind the Bima style, but got a lot of feedback that it was respectful, loving dialogue, different points of view. And hopefully it was a example of disagreeing agreeably. We have the greatest respect for one another. We love one another, but we can see something differently than one another, than the other. So the best feedback I got was someone said, Rabbi, I agreed with you, but Beshefkin argues his points much better.
I tell you, but it's amazing. And I think when you look at our guests tonight, especially Rabbi Stefansky, you see part of his energy is the fact that he's doing something a little bit different. And that's why there's this excitement to follow him. Same way like, Rabbi Beshefkin is doing great things. Different.
Right. Interesting conversation. So where are the lines? What are those boundaries? We as a community, what are we doing? But it was interesting. It was always great to see him. But it was fascinating because you continue the conversation offline. And I don't know that it was so different, meaning I don't know that we were holding back online versus offline. I hope we were respectful in both places and in both cases. But it reminds you that real sort of breakthrough in conversations are offline. In the online world, social media technology, even the online world of texting, WhatsApping, and email, it's efficient. It's a productivity gain, but real conversations are like face to face. Looking into the eyes of another person, feeling the heart and the pulse of another person, connecting to the sincerity. Kamayim panim, like water. You see your reflection. Cave leifa adam ba'adam. So it was great to see him for a moment offline. Great to continue the conversation. I hope all of us are continuing our conversations offline, online and offline, because they're really important. So it's really great. It was good to see him. Tell us what else is going on, Rabbi Broide. You want to talk about the global campaign?
In the last week also, I mean, you look what's happening right now in Ukraine. Last week, this wasn't really much of an issue. And all of a sudden, the last week, the world has changed. Everything has changed. Things are a little scarier.
It's very scary. I actually saw a political commentator, a pundit, if you will, who said, part of the lesson here is that the Russians were gathering on the border. Putin said exactly what he was going to do.
Right.
And then he did it. And part of the lesson here is you look around the world and, Russia said what he was going to do, and then he did it. And other countries say what they're going to do, and they do it. And Iran's telling us what they want to do, which, get rid of Israel, and they're going to do it. The Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal said the miracle, what the miracle of Purim is? Everyone thinks the miracle of Purim is that Esther intervened, that interceded, everything worked out, the coincidences, they hung Haman on the... You know what the miracle of Purim is?
Can I say?
Go for it, because you've heard me
I've heard you say it 1,000 times. It's the fact that he listened.
Yeah. The miracle of Purim is that an enemy stood up. He said, this is what I'm going to do. Instead of our saying, yeah, he doesn't mean it. He's not really going to do it. I can't imagine. Yeah. Instead, we said, well, if that's what he said he's going to do, we better take him at his word.
Right.
And that was the miracle of Purim, is that we took him at his word. And so, Putin, Russia, they told us what they were going to do, and then they did it. And other countries say what they're going to do, and they do it. And Iran's saying what it's going to do, and it's going to do it. China's already saying what it's going. They're going to do it. That's a big lesson. So we'll hear in a moment from Refael and get an update on the ground in Ukraine, what is happening. But let's tell everyone about the global campaign. Go ahead, Rabbi.
This is your chance. This is your only chance once a year where we finally say to you, you love what we're doing here locally in a small community called Boca Raton, but look at the impact it's having, not only in the United States, but way beyond, all over the world, all over the globe. And if you want to be part of the magic and you want to support everything that's being done right here, right now, this is your chance. brsonline.org/global. You can join, your friends can join, your family can join, and you can join multiple times. Support the incredible efforts of this incredible movement that's been started.
And we're so grateful. We'll give a live update right now. So far, we have 182 people have donated. We're at 34,000. We have a goal of 150,000. We're deeply indebted to the people who've given, but there are a lot more. And, we're very honored. We're very proud, feel very privileged, and we're not here to flex or be arrogant. But thank God there's a lot of people who connect to Boca Raton Synagogue. They love our notion of our Shar HaKolel, of the 13th gate, of connecting and taking the best from all segments of Yiddishkeit and caring about the total Jewish community. They connect to the Torah that we teach and promote and write and share, the panel discussions behind the Bima. If everybody who gives us positive feedback gave a little bit of money, we would triple our goal. The problem is that, one of our favorite stories.
Which one?
This is Rav Avi tells the story about when he flew back and he called his son, said, "You should pick me up at the airport." You know the story. And he says, Abba, I love you, you're the greatest, but I can't pick you up. He says, that's nice, but I need you to pick me up at the airport. This was before Ubers and Lyft and taxis were so easy and whatever time of night it was. He says, yeah, but I can't. I have a car, but I love you. You're the greatest. You're amazing. I can't. He said, yeah, okay, that's nice, but I need you to pick me up. Abba, you're the best Abba in the world. There's never been a better Abba. I love you with all my heart. The love I feel for you is so profound. I'm just sorry I can't pick you up. So he says to his son, do me a favor, love me less and pick me up at the airport. So that motto, love me less and pick me up at the airport, is a medrash that right after Parshas Mishpatim. Parshas Mishpatim is the story of Har Sinai. We stood around the base of the mountain and the greatest moment of revelation, and God spoke to us directly and gave us his commandments, his blueprint for the universe. And the very next parsha, Truma, is Yikhuli Truma. All of a sudden, we're running a campaign. There's a relatively new member of our shul who I love. He's a wonderful person, but I don't have permission to use his name. But he moved in and he said, is there an appeal every week? It's the Yizkor appeal, that appeal, the other appeal, the next campaign. He's like, what's going on over here? So that was his joke when he first moved in every week. What's the appeal this week? So you have standing at Har Sinai, thunder and lightning and revelation and spirituality, the greatest kumzitz, tishva, bringing and all the three. And all of a sudden they're doing an appeal, a campaign, Yikhuli Truma. So the Medrash says, you know what God says? We stood at Har Sinai, we said, God, we love you. And God says, you love me? You're in Nasa v'nishma. We'll do and we'll listen. First we'll do, then we'll, Nasa v'nishma, you're in? Okay. Open up your wallet. Venmo, Zelle, check, credit card. Let's see how much you love me. So I say the same thing. We're grateful for all the feedback we get, the people, the audience who drove behind the Bima to #1 on Apple Podcasts in Judaism, and the people who listen to our shiurim and read our articles and get our weekly magazine newsletter. We're grateful. It's gratifying. It's fulfilling. It's so deeply moving. This money, Rabbi Broide, tell them, what percentage of the global campaign do you get?
Well, I get 0%. I get 0.0%. And you should know, I was just at the Emory University just last night, and I visited the OU JLIC program that they have there. And one of the students comes right over and he says, you know what? I get my Torah every week from Rabbi Goldberg. And it's amazing. Wow. Sometimes you don't even realize where the programs are being broadcast, but there are students in far-flung parts of the United States, again, and beyond. There are college students that might not have the same access to the Torah that you get in your local community, but they're tuning in, they're participating, and this is their access. So
I'm honored, and I'm flattered. And basically, we don't get one penny from this. We don't make a percentage. We don't get a bonus. This doesn't go to us. We're not going out to eat with it. It helps us get the technology and the platforms and teach the Torah and share the messages and just impact more people. That's our goal. So if you value our values and you value whatever value we're adding to your life, just help us meet our goal. So we are going to, behind the Bima, recognize the people giving in real time tonight. So go on brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global. Ivor Horowitz just gave $50. Loves the Siddur snippets. Thank you. The great Richard and Lois Beeler gave $180. Grateful for that. Francine Handy, $50. Anonymous, $180. Aaron Martin, $100. So if you make a contribution right now, add your name to that list. We will gratefully acknowledge it and express our gratitude. And we thank you. We thank you for helping us do what we do.
And if you don't know who to give it in honor of, just give it in honor of me. That way Rabbi Goldberg will see that it's also in honor of me.
No question.
just put Josh Broide. You don't have to even spell Broide right. We'll know if it's
Rabbi Broide is a powerhouse. Don't let his quiet on behind the Bima fool you. But he's a powerhouse. In fact, I was away 2 Shabbos ago, and Rabbi Broide gave the drasha, and I got great feedback. Now, everyone who gave me the feedback said Rabbi Broide spoke amazingly, and he asked me to let you know. True. But Rabbi Broide is a powerhouse. So right now, if you're watching, go in the comments and say, let Rabbi Broide hear from you what you want to hear from him. Should he be giving a weekly class that he's streaming live? You want to see him have a column in our weekly where he talks about his outreach efforts, and he has amazing outreach stories. What do you want to hear more from about Rabbi Broide? Put it in the comments right now. Put in the comments. We all miss Rabbi Moskowitz. He's taking care of his family, his daughter. We wish well. What do we miss? What class do you love? What article? Is there an article Rabbi Moskowitz wrote that made the biggest difference in your life? So take a moment, be part of the global campaign. Help us continue to make this difference. Share it on the comments right now in real time, and push Rabbi Broide to leave his comfort zone and do his thing.
Some big ideas. We'll share it after the interviews tonight. So I'm very excited to share some things.
Really? Yeah. Big ideas. Can you give us a little flavor?
Well, I think Rabbi Stefansky is going to inspire some very exciting things. And it's let's just say it's something that I think he's very involved with that might inspire our community to do something along the same lines. So
okay, nice. Yeah. All right. So anyway, we got a big audience tonight. People listening later, of course. But if you're live, go on YouTube, put in the comments, push Rabbi Broide, get him out of his comfort zone. What do you want to see from him? What topic do you want to hear him speak about? Start a series on, podcast on, write articles about. Rabbi Blumenthal, his articles in the weekly literally bring you to tears. His insights are amazing. His classes, we've got an all-star team at our shul: Jeffrey, Talia, Rabbi Zions, Rabbi Shabtai, Rabbi Ryan. So help us do our thing. Help us get it out. If you value it, love us less and go on the global campaign. brsonline.org/global, real time. Go on there. You'll get a shout out. So we're gonna welcome, first of all, the Rabbi Stefansky conversation is gonna be phenomenal. Let me give you a little teaser. Rabbi Stefansky, he gave the daf in Chicago for 8 years. Broide, how many people went to his daf for 8 years in Chicago? 5 people. That's generous. I heard it was 4. But let's say it was 5.
It's counting
5 people.
5, I think, with him.
All right, with him, 5 people for 8 years. He persevered. He showed up every day for 8 years for 5 people. Fast forward today, how many people listen to Rabbi Stefansky, Eli Stefansky online?
It's 10,000 plus, and by next week it might be like 15,000. It's crazy.
He's got 10,000 people a day. Probably the largest Daf Yomi, maybe the largest shiur in the whole world. How did he get there? How did he go from 5 to 10,000? How did he get there? Big thank you to Yisrael and Bella Halprin, who donated in honor of Eli Stefansky. So thank you so much for joining the global campaign. Everybody go online right now. David Gold, Rabbi Broide, would like to see you give a daf class. What do you think?
First, I'm going to join the daf.
Going to join the daf. We got a anonymous donation. Grateful for the anonymous donation in honor of the BRS staff. Thank you so much. So we want to see, what articles would you like to see? What do you want to hear Broide speak about? The rest of our staff. Are there topics that BRS is not producing right now that you'd like to see us get out there? Any topics, any panels, any discussions, any themes, any areas? We're not afraid. BRS, maybe foolishly, but we're not afraid to try to tackle or speak about respectfully.
You might be a little afraid if I do something, but it's,
Yeah, no, I'm not afraid for me. I'm afraid. Yeah, exactly. Levi Fagelstock, thank you so much, Rabbi Levi Fagelstock, for your ORB. Incredible work that you do in partnership and for donating refuah shlema for Esther Tehila Basari Al Tzipora. We should hear only phenomenal news. So we're going to get to Eli Stefansky and we'll hear that story. How do you get from 5 to 10,000? 5 to 10,000. What's he doing? Is he giving away free things? Yes, he is. but in addition to giving away free things, what is he doing to get from 5 to 10,000? It's extraordinary. But first, we get serious for a moment because the world's a very serious place right now. I know Refael Kruskal. I've met with him. I've actually been to Moldova, to Kishinev, flew through Odessa. Did not get a privilege to see Tikva, his work there, but have seen it. So before we bring on and have a conversation with Eli Stefansky, we're going to get an update and really all of us get involved, learn, and do what we can to make a difference when it comes to what's going on right now in the Ukraine. So without any further ado, Refael Kruskal. We're joined right now by Refael Kruskal from the Tikva Children's Orphanage of Odessa, the Ukraine. And I did not have the privilege of being there, though I've been in Odessa before, but I've met with Refael in person, who's a hero in the best of times for taking care of young Jewish children and Jewish community, doing outstanding work, but particularly during this time. Refael, tell us where you are, what's happening, and how we can help.
So we're just after the Carpathian Mountains in Ukraine. What's happening? So on Thursday last week, we had prepared. I had assumed that there was going to be some kind of conflict, and I can say that we were quite prepared for this to happen. So we had prepared food. We had prepared a generator for gas. We thought we would run out of gas. We'd expected a lot of things to happen. We prepared all. We brought in an Israeli security firm because we were worried that the locals would leave us if something bad happened.
Right.
So we were quite prepared, except when they shell you, you're less prepared than you normally think you would be. So
Refael,
when the shelling started,
Hold on one second. Take a step back. Even before you tell us about how prepared you were, just give our listeners, 1 minute, 60 seconds about the Tikva orphanage, how many children, what the setup is, how many people as the CEO, how many you're responsible for, why are they in Odessa, why are you in Odessa?
So my name is Refael Kruskal. You said I'm the CEO of Tikva. I was born in London, and I came to Odessa in 1999 to help there was a small orphanage then to see how we could grow it, and we were very Baruch Hashem, we had a lot of success, and now it's grown to over 300 kids in the orphanages. The community is very successful. It's our alumni from the orphanages and from the schools which we built, and now they built a community. We built a community in Odessa. We have 3 kindergartens, 3 elementary schools, 2 high schools, a boys and a girls school, a Jewish university, a yeshiva, and then besides that, we also have the orphanages, the infants orphanage, the boys orphanage, the girls orphanage, and then the student dorms, who are kids who were in the boys and girls orphanages, who then go into the who are in the student dorms.
These are kids from all over. Those kids are from all over the Ukraine, or they're all from Odessa?
All over Ukraine. In fact, in the last few months, we had a lot of people who wanted to come from even Uzbekistan. We had some from Belarus when they were fighting last year. So we from Moldova. We took from all over the former Soviet Union.
Wow! And what brought you there?
I came in 1999 for 1 year because I wanted to do something before I went out into business, and then I couldn't leave the kids. It was so compelling to stay. So I'm lucky.
All right, so tell us again. You're in Odessa. You have this incredible system. It's a whole network. It's a whole community, Tikva. And you were prepared because we'd all been following the news. Everybody knew Russia was gathering on the border. Russia was threatening to invade. You were as prepared you could be. When and how did you get out? And where are you and the kids now, if we can even ask that?
So I haven't given anyone an exact location, but we're after the Carpathian Mountains, let's say as far away as the fighting as one could be if you're staying in Ukraine. On Thursday we had the first shelling, and then we decided we had to do something. We checked. We at the beginning we checked whether we could leave Odessa, but the security firm we'd taken said it was dangerous to travel on the roads. We weren't sure whether they were going to bomb the roads. And we said, let's wait 1 more day in Odessa and see what happens. We were also checking to see how many people we could get over the border to other places. So we were checking the borders, which we had. There was a rush on the borders, and we found 1 border which was empty. So we sent the first bus there, and when we were successful, we sent another 3 buses, and now since then we sent another 4 buses, and we have in Moldova at the moment students and community members, about 400 people. We're sending a last bus tomorrow, which will get bigger, which will make it even bigger. By the way, the community in Moldova, which is in Moldova at the moment, is also they're going through a very difficult time, and I think that within the next 48 hours, we're going to take them out of Moldova and to Romania, just because that the conditions there will be better, and the children and refugees who are suffering anyway, as it is, and there's no reason that they need to suffer more.
Now, is your assumption that you're going to return to Odessa, that please God, one way or another, this will reconcile, everyone's going to return? Is the assumption right now that there's nothing to go back to, that Ukraine, Russia, it's so uncertain, it's time to bring everybody to Israel or elsewhere?
Before I only spoke about the Moldavian part, I'm going to go back, and then I'll go back to the assumption what's going to happen. We left on Friday morning. We got there was shelling in the night, and 1 bomb fell like a half a mile from the girls' home, and the girls were hysterical. And I'd been up throughout the night, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I pulled the trigger and said, we have to leave today. And I knew it meant traveling on Shabbos. I knew everything what it meant, and I spoke to of course, to the Rav of Odessa, the chief rabbi, was my partner, and we worked together. And then I also spoke to Rabbanim in Etzkal. There was no question. We're traveling on Shabbos. Just tell us how to do it and what to do. And by 10 o'clock, we were out of Odessa. Every 70 miles, we stopped because there were some roads which had been bombed, There were some roads which we were worried there was more dangerous to travel on, so we wanted to travel on side roads and back roads. There were sirens in the middle when we went past Vinica and Khmelnytsky. So it was a traumatic experience. It was traumatic anyway. I mean, as you know, we're not attached to the Jews were never attached to buildings. We were always attached to people. My grandfather was born in Germany. My father was born in Holland. He was in Bergen-Belsen. He then lived in England. Then lived in Israel. We're a wandering nation. I live in Ukraine. So, but still, it was extremely difficult, emotional for the community to leave. It is the place which we built, and what a community after 22 years, and suddenly we were seeing the revival of Yiddishkeit in Odessa, and everything collapsing. It was extremely emotional and difficult to leave. And on the way, we stopped. We told everybody before Shabbos we had mincha. And the chief rabbi of Odessa, Rabbi Bak, said, "You know, last week we had a mitzvah to keep the Shabbos, and this week we have a mitzvah to drive on a bus on Shabbos. It's the same mitzvah, and we got to do it with the same simcha and the same happiness, etc." And then we stopped on the way a bit later after Shabbos came in, and we made kiddush for the whole community, and it was
saw that video,
so moving. You heard the people crying on one hand, on the other hand, it was surreal in the middle of nowhere, in a cold Ukrainian gas station. 400 people were listening, just want to hear kiddush. It was the biggest kiddush Hashem, which one could have. It was a very emotional moment to the community, and we continued on throughout the night, and there was back-to-back traffic. We arrived. The first bus arrived at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, on Shabbos afternoon. The last bus arrived at 3:30 in the afternoon, and that's when we had the second kiddush, the morning kiddush, with Parsha Shkolim and Birchas Chodesh, because most of the people in the bus didn't know which day Rosh Chodesh was. But that's and Baruch Hashem, we're in a much safer part of Ukraine than we were before. So now you ask whether if I assume we're going to go back there. I'm hoping we'll go back there. There was a beautiful kehillah in the building in there, and I don't think that any one person could ruin such a thing. Wherever HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, that's where we're going, you know. But for the people here who are here, they wanted to be there, they wanted to stay. They're part of a community. It's a very warm and thriving community, people helping each other. And I hope we'll be able to go back and continue this huge undertaking. We also got to remember, at the moment we have 300 kids in our homes. We know of probably, we assume, according to the numbers which we have, there are roughly another 2,000 kids in Jewish children in Ukraine who are still in need of our help. To leave any other way than to leave in a way which wouldn't be accepted by the Ukrainian authorities would mean that we would not be able to come back and help those other children. So there's a fine line when these children who are in danger. Of course, we've got to save them first; they're our priority. But if we can still stay here in this part of Ukraine and Be'ezer Hashem go back and help afterwards the other children, then that's our first priority, and that's why it's a fine balance and a big burden and responsibility when you're deciding between what to do.
Right. Wow, Rabbi Broide.
Thank you. You know, I just want to just let you know as well that we've been seeing regular updates. Yana has been sending us what's been taking place almost every day, and you know, you contrast that with the videos that we used to get of all the children getting together and singing and putting on these plays, you know, being part of the dinners, the virtual dinners, and seeing.
It's a little hard to hear you, Rabbi Broide. So I'm going to relay your question. You're coming in and out. Refael, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay. So he was saying, Rabbi Broide, that Yana's been keeping us updated with the videos, and you contrast the videos that she used to send of the children with plays and happiness and joy and learning and Torah, and now in buses and on the run, it's really surreal. It's like a throwback to centuries ago, and you think, or decades ago, and you think that you're watching Jews in Europe on the run, and it's just hard to believe what we're watching. And you are heroic. You're being there for these children and for that community. What you're doing is amazing. I guess tell us what we can do to help. What are the needs when you relocate hundreds of children? Imagine it's not easy to book buses and hotel rooms. This is not like running a summer trip. So what do you do for food? What do you do for everything that you're working on?
So two things.
Charlie needs his budget
the
for
first
the big production.
So the first thing is, the first thing is, of course, my father was in Bergen-Belsen. In 1939, they probably didn't realize they were 1939. So, yeah, we realized the implications. We're trying to do everything, maybe learn from the history of other people who have been through similar situations. We have a huge security budget. All our local security guards left, and we had to bring security guards from Eretz Yisrael. So we've already brought in 5. The local because the local security guards are having to be conscripted to the army. We've got to bring in another 10, and the 5 are coming in tomorrow, and the 5 the next day. So that's a huge cost to bring in. It's just an insurance that they have to take out insurance to going into a war-ridden country. Besides that, we have, of course, just to give you an idea, a bus to the place where we are from Odessa would normally cost about $800, $900 a trip. They said they're not leaving unless we give them $10,000. But after that, for the trip, after that, when we stopped at that stop for Kiddush, what one doesn't see on the video is they say, you're going to get off the bus, and we're not taking you further unless you double that sum. So we didn't have to double the sum. We negotiated down on Shabbos, but all the prices have gone up. The food is scarce. Food and vegetables are scarce. Of course, I told you we brought with us a lot of food because I could put in my mind for some reason last week I said we're going to rent trucks. We're going to put the food on the trucks, which is what we did. So the food was ready on the trucks. As soon as we left, the trucks of food, which we had prepared for the months beforehand, left with us. The chickens, 5 tons of chickens left with us. So we at least we're sorted for a certain period of time with the dry food. But all the rest of the stuff is extremely expensive. I had to buy mattresses. We were 100 beds short. I had to buy mattresses on Shabbos. We had to buy heating. We had to buy a generator. Everything. It's a huge expense. And I haven't even spoken about the Kehillah in Moldova, Romania, which I have to do exactly the same. Just copy exactly what I've told you here.
So, Refael, what's the budget? What are we talking about?
At the moment, we're running. The costs, which I can see for this month, are over $2 million for both places, and it's going up. We need every single. I never, my wildest dreams, I never imagined that we would be where we are. I mean, just for security, I paid $384,000 this month for one place.
Wow. Where can people contribute? Where can they help?
So at the moment we have a campaign, tikvaodessa.org. We're trying to raise as much money. I want to tell everybody. My parents, I'm from Ukraine. My grandparents are from Ukraine. I came to help these kids. Now we need your help to help these kids. We can't do it alone because it's an extremely difficult moment for the Kehillah. It's an extremely difficult moment for these kids. The kids are traumatized. We're trying to help them with psychologists and everything else. We need your help. I don't think there's ever been such a call. You're talking about decades. Since the Second World War, I don't think there's ever been such a call from Jewish communities and from us, also as one of the communities in Ukraine, asking for people, please help us. We can't manage this alone. We need a broader help than we've had before. And that's why we're turning to you today.
Well, Refael, we thank you for giving us time. We know that it's already the middle of the night, on its way to becoming the middle of the night. We know that you're exhausted. I can't imagine the last time that you possibly slept. And we just want to thank you for what you're doing to take care of Hashem's children. And we wish you safety and security. And we wish that, please God, for your sake and for everyone, that this be over quickly and speedily. And please God, you get back to Odessa and with these beautiful children, and take care of the hundreds or thousands more. And in the future, we'll continue this conversation on behind the Bima and in person. It's time to bring these children one by one, dozen by dozen, 100 by 100 to Israel. It's time to get everybody out. I don't know if there's a Jewish future in the Ukraine. I don't know if there's a Jewish future in America, but this is a harsh reminder. And to see Jews on the run, on buses on Shabbos, making Kiddush and having to bribe people to secure them again and give them safety. We didn't dream it would happen, and you're at the front lines of it. So thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time. We're encouraging everyone to go to the website that we're scrolling, tikvaodessa.org, tikvaodessa.org/relief. And grateful to Yana for what she does. And just stay safe and be well and healthy. And please, God, we'll continue to get updates. And we're
Rabbi Goldberg,
we can.
Just
Yes.
one last thing. I'm asking anyone who has a spare moment during the day, daven fast, as Yaakov Avinu said, we should come out of this shalom kufay v'shalom benafshay. We need the people to be healthy, both mentally and physically. The children are going through a difficult time. We're going through a difficult time. It's a huge responsibility. Whenever you have a time, please say Tehillim, daven for us. We need you to fill us as well.
Absolutely. We most certainly will. Stay safe. Be well. Thank you so much for being with us. Did you think in our lifetime that you would see Jews on the run, fleeing, refugees in that part of the world? You're muted. On the run, being chased, running for their safety, having to bribe, spend money, somehow get provisions and food in the year 2022, and Jews are still in Europe on the run.
It's funny. It's not so funny, but we talk about the Holocaust, and we've taken so many trips back to Europe. We've been in communities that are very similar to what they look like in Poland, what they see in Ukraine. And, you thought that was part of ancient history. That was not something we would ever experience again. That's not something anyone should ever know about. And we're seeing it unfold in front of our eyes.
It's scary. It's real time. For us, we're watching. And, I'll tell you, I may lose some friends with this one right now. But, if you're on social media, you'll see Jewish from social media in particular, but social media, it happened with the State of the Union last night. People love to see captions or a picture or a little video of something, and then they say what they think is their witty comment about it, right? So you have Putin sitting at a huge table and other people all the way on the other end, and you make your joke about the Kiddush Club, or you have the whatever, and you see people doing that right now about Ukraine, about Russia.
Right.
And you see people thinking something's fun. Oh, that's the Kiddush Club. Oh, that's the rabbi speaking too long. Oh, that's the board voting on whatever. And I just look at that and I say, it's not the time. I don't know if there's ever a time. It's people's lives. There's people dying. There's people being bombed. There's people on the run. And I always ask ourselves, how would we feel? Could you imagine if Twitter existed during the Holocaust and there were images coming out of Jews being persecuted, chased, and someone thought of a funny witticism. They thought of a cute caption. They thought that they'd earn some likes by saying something funny that related to their life. We would look at that and say, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Have we become so desensitized? How could it be? How could it be?"
Unfortunately, we don't have to just imagine it. You're seeing it happen. So it's happening with different groups, but it just as well and easily could have been happening with us. And then you also look at the strength of these Ukrainians, and you see what they're doing, like fighting this guerrilla warfare in their streets. And you think, if this would come to our community, where would we be? There's a certain strength that they have and that they're exhibiting right now. It's really, really impressive. Very powerful message for the world.
Yeah, it's a battle going on. The Jewish prime minister over there. And anyways, by the way, I'm not judging. It's my point is an observation of our time that we've become desensitized, right?
Absolutely.
Due to technology and social media and the images that flow in real time. You could be eating lunch and you see corpses in the street, or you hear but a bombing, or you see miles long, 40-mile line of tanks. They just keep eating lunch.
Right.
When in human history did you see those images and you had an appetite? We don't just have an appetite. We think of a cute,
you should be
cute caption,
crying and feeling like you have to throw up after you see something because it hurts so much.
Yeah. So it's not a criticism as much as a call that we try to preserve our sensitivity for ourselves and our children. There's certain pictures and images that should move us, like you just said, to tears, that should move us to tefillas, to prayer. And not only should we not be desensitized that they don't mean anything, we certainly shouldn't caption them and compete. Are we witty? Are we funny? Is it cute? Did we get a lot of likes? So I just think it's really, really important for us to be aware of the messaging that we're sending to others, but even our own sensitivity to these issues. So Tikva Odessa, if you can help,
They're doing such a great job. I know it didn't come out clear. First of all, just to be clear, I wasn't driving. I was being driven, and we were driving through a part of Georgia right now where there's not a lot of reception. But I really wanted to just be able to be on a phone call with such a courageous leader is just something you don't want to miss out on.
Right.
And one of the things that we do know about Tikva is that they are there where no one else is. They're in a place. They're helping out children. They're helping out these orphans. And over the last 2 years, they've taken their virtual gala and put it online. And if you would have seen these productions that these kids do, like so many of us have been part of these gala dinners, and people trying to be more creative, and how do we outdo the other organization which just did something online back in the days we really were immersed on Zoom, and you see what they did. What they did. They had these kids. They put on the most beautiful productions, musicals and plays. Just remember, these are not kids they don't have costumes, they don't have clothes, they don't have they don't have family, they don't have parents, they don't have anything. And the smiles on their faces, it just brought you in, it drew you in. And now you see these same children. It's the same children that were doing
contrast. Yeah,
they're being rushed off for running for their lives.
If you haven't seen the video, you should. What he described when they stopped and said Kiddush on Friday night. These are buses. And what a powerful message when the rabbi of Odessa said, last Shabbos, the mitzvah was to keep Shabbos. And this week, the mitzvah is to break Shabbos. Like, get in the bus and go. That's our mitzvah. And they pause at a gas station and should hear this emotional. Did you see the video? The emotional Kiddush. All the kids are gathered around, some of the adults, and this Kiddush, like while breaking Shabbos on the run. These are not just old stories. Last night, we have a series on Tuesday nights. And if you're part of the global world, you follow, you watch, you have the opportunity to listen, called Rabbis on the Run. We've done people on the book for many years. We've done great debates of Jewish history and great moments of Jewish history and great rabbis of Jewish history. And this year's our focus was Rabbis on the Run, rabbis being persecuted who changed the face of Torah scholarship while on the run. So I taught about the Rush, who had to run and flee from French Germany to Spain, and other stories like that. So I taught about the Mir, the miraculous escape of the Mir to Shanghai. And when I'm describing it, again, you think, oh, that's Holocaust. They ran from Poland to Lithuania through Japan. They were supposed to actually go to Curacao. That's where they had their visa, but they ended up the transit visa, and they ended up in Shanghai. But like, these are ancient stories. Even the Holocaust feels like so long ago, again, as time is moving on and we have fewer survivors. But these images and stories of the Ukraine are not a long time ago. They're right now. They're real.
I'll tell you a powerful story. I don't have permission to tell you who said it, but I just heard it. Where someone got up and was talking about the crisis in Ukraine and about these orphans and these children, and they said, I really want to do something. Tell me. And they called this individual, said, how can I take one of these children into my home? And the person responds, what do you mean, like temporarily, or like adopt? Like, what do you do? She says, you tell me what they need. 2 other people heard this person say that, and they said, I'll do the same thing. So,
wow.
You see people that are just, okay, we'll pass on then share it on Facebook and the Twitters. And then you see people that are davening. And then the other people that are like, what do we need to do? There are people in crisis.
Right.
How do I step in?
So if you have money, you could either give the global campaign or to Tikva to help, of course, people of Ukraine. Give to the Ukraine, don't give to us. But hopefully you have the ability to do both. And we're so grateful to those who value shows like this, Behind the Bima, where you get to hear a report from Ukraine.
Where else are you going to hear this? There's no one.
I want to thank David Posey. David Posey, thank you for your contribution. Dr. Daniel and Hetty Blum, thank you so much for your contribution. Got an anonymous from Washington Heights. Harriet Brick, thank you so much. I don't know who Boy Gary is in honor of Rabbi Josh Brody, but someone.
That's my boy Gary.
Oh, it's a boy Gary.
I don't know
who that is. I don't want to know.
I wonder if it's my Rabbi Gary Beitler.
Thank you. Thank you. Deanna, in appreciation of Smichas Chaver, my husband has immersed himself in daily learning, she writes. So all those who've been contributing in real time through the show, thank you so much. brsonline.org/global. Thank you for helping support and enable all that we are doing. So, Rabbi Brody, have you ever tried the daf before?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've actually tried it twice. I tried it probably about 15 years ago. Rabbi Perry Tershwell was doing it, and he told me, come upstairs. Rabbi Sugarman's teaching the daf. So I don't even think it was at the beginning of a cycle. Maybe they're just starting a new Masechta, and I gave it a shot. I did it I might have made it through one Masechta. And then obviously this last time around, I got inspired by you. I got inspired by so many in our shul that are doing it. Matthew, obviously, is with his updates on every Masechta he's finishing.
Right.
And I made it through. I was doing actually pretty well. I made it through, I think, 3 Masechtas. And it just petered out. I don't know if it was an Erevin. It was, it just got to the point where I was going through it, but I wasn't really feeling it. I needed something different. I just need something to.
All right. So that's the perfect segue. First of all, again, a big shout out to Gilly's Goodies, our sponsor for tonight.
Love him.
When by the end of this interview, you're going to hear that Rabbi Broide is sending Shalach Manos for Gilly's Goodies to Eli Stefansky and to the whole Daf. That's how much he's fallen in love.
Yeah, I'm in. You know what? Do me a favor. Just put David, who's our main guy. We love David at Gilly's Goodies. Gilly's his wife.
We didn't even say how you find it online. GILIS Goodies, GOODIES.com, GillysGoodies.com, GillysGoodies.com. Put in Bima, BIMA for a special discount referral code. Send a gift to the soldiers. Send it to Eli Stefansky.
Send it to Eli Stefansky from behind the Bima.
That's right. Let's flood Eli Stefansky with Shalach Manos from Gilly's Goodies from behind the Bima. Wouldn't that be amazing? So he's got a story to tell. How do you get from 5 people to 10,000 people? Here he is.
One second. Even before you go, I'm just like, it's just when you say that, it's so mind blowing. If you would have said, how do you get from 5 to 50? I would be, excited just to hear. 5 to 200 would be 10,000 people. Could you imagine 10,000 daily listeners to anything? There's no one. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. Let me just our new fact checker. I may be related to him. Our new fact checker pointed out when I was listing our amazing staff, and you'll hear from him next week. We're going to do a marathon, meet our new staff, talk to us, go behind the Bima with trying to get my kids. They're not watching right now, so I feel safe saying this. If you have their contact info, push them and encourage them. So wouldn't it be a great behind the Bima to go behind the Bima with Rabbi's kids, find out what it's like to be the children of a rabbi, the good, the bad, the ugly, what it's like, Rabbi's kids. I got a big fat no, but we'll keep trying. But I did not mention our new Sephardi rabbi, Rabbi Magazinich, Rabbi Yonatan Magazinich, who is phenomenal. We love Rabbi Magazinich, so he is amazing. And the same fact checker who I'm related to by blood, my father, said that we bring on these guests. I don't give enough of an introduction. I don't give enough of a biography. So you'll hear in the interview, we're not going into Eli Stefansky's background. He's been on other podcasts. Our friends at Meaningful People and elsewhere, they talk all about that. Art Scroll actually had a whole interview with him as well. You could hear his background, his story, how he got into it. We're talking about how he created this community, this movement of learners. So without any further ado, it's a pleasure to bring on Eli Stefansky. We are so excited to be going behind the Bima with the one and only Rabbi Eli Stefansky, who is not only giving a Daf Yomi. There are people all over the world who are delivering daily Daf Yomis. Rabbi Stefansky is leading a movement of Daf Yomi, a movement of Torah learning. And thank you for going behind the Bima with us.
Absolutely. thank you for having me.
It's great to be together. It's great to be together. The honors are. So let's begin with this. I was with a group of men last night. We were going around. It was a learning group. We had just come back from a trip to New York. It's a Mavakshim trip. We went and met with Rosh Yeshiva and Rebbeim and Rebbes. It was an incredible trip. I'll tell you more about it another time. But we were going around and people were talking about the Kabbalahs. What did they take upon themselves? And one individual sitting there, I don't have permission to use his name. He's a Baal Tshuva. He's a person who discovered observance and Torah later in life. And he says, you know how many times I tried learning? You know how many times I opened the Gemara? I wanted to do the Daf Yomi. I wanted to be part of that group, part of that chevra. Every time it failed. Every time it flopped. He volunteered on his own. He had no idea that we were interviewing you today. He says, every time it got nowhere. I just couldn't connect. I couldn't relate to the people speaking. It was another language. They were from another world. He goes, then I'm on the internet and I scroll. And I'm wasting time, and all of a sudden I come across this 8-minute daf, this guy Stefansky. He goes, so I click because I'm wasting so much time, I might as well make use of my time. I click. This is what he just said last night. He goes, I'm hooked. Now he just made a siyum on Moed Katan with you, and he's going to make a siyum on Chagiga with you. And he went from never opening a Gemara, not being able to learn, not being able to cross that hurdle to being an observant Jew, to he's making siyumim. And let me say what he loved about you. He goes, this guy is a business guy. He's relatable. He's like me. And he said, he told some off-color joke. That's what he said. I hope you're not insulted.
Oy.
He said something irreverent. I'll rephrase it. He didn't mean off-color that was inappropriate. He meant irreverent. He meant he's relatable. He's fun. He's real. Right. So you lit this guy up, and you're not just doing it for this guy. You've got 10,000 people a day on the Stefansky
I'm just
train.
laughing about this off-color joke. I'm so careful. It's you have to have that balance of being funny and being careful. There's so many people watching. There's children watching. So I hope it wasn't off
No,
color.
chas v'shalom, it
I'll
wasn't
tell
off
you
color.
what. Okay, yeah, go on. Sorry.
He used those words, but he didn't mean that. He didn't mean off color, and I shouldn't have repeated
Okay.
that. He meant it was irreverent in the sense that you were real and relatable and fun-loving, and your props and all the things that we're going to get into today. So forget that. He misused those words, but you got him going. He's now making his second Masechta on a Siyum on a Masechta. It's incredible. So what is it? What is it that you're doing? What is the magic? How is it that 10,000 people a day are learning with you?
Wow. Well, first of all, we have an unbelievable team. It's not just me. There's so many people behind the scenes. We have a cameraman, we have a tech guy, we have people in marketing, and it's just a team of people. I actually have a kollel, a Daf Yomi kollel, that these guys, 4 of them actually, no shas inside out. One of them scored the highest score in the Dirshu test of shas in the world. So he's the number 1 shas guy in the world in the kollel. And I talk to them learning. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I come and I deliver it. I try to make it exciting and fun, accessible to everybody. Bring things to the shir that I myself would have wanted to see when I was a bacher, when I was learning Gemara. And every day to come up with whether it's a story that's funny, a joke, not an off-colored one, a funny prop, a funny chart, anything that would make, the break that sometimes, you go to a shir and there's a guy with a long beard and it's boring. Omar Abaya, da, 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 da. Over here, it's like we learn and then we stop for a second. I'll make a little comment and the guys laugh and then we go on and we're doing the daf. And it's real good pshat, real very, very good pshat. Rashi, Taisvis, not a whole lot of raid. Although if there's good raid, I throw it in again. Anything that's exciting for the daf. So if there's raid that's like, wow, I can't believe this halacha, I'll throw it in. But again, just make learning fun, and that people should want to come back and get more.
So you went from when you lived in Chicago, I understand you taught a daf for 8 years that had a regular 3-4 people there. So
nice. You're doing the research.
I did my research. So Rabbi Stefansky, Rav Eli, here's the question. How did you persevere and not give up? Now, again, if you have a chavrusa one-on-one, it's already an achievement. You learn the daf chavrusa one-on-one with someone, it's amazing. Having 3 people is already a chabura. 4 people, it's a shir. So I'm not minimizing or diminishing, or I don't want to speak about it in a derogatory way at all. People who have a small group, a little daf. But you persevered. You were an aspiring and successful entrepreneur, businessman. And for 8 years, you sat in front of 3 people. You probably never dreamt that fast forward and you'd have 10,000 people. So what pushed you through?
Not even 50 people.
Right.
Well, the main thing was I wanted to learn. I always wanted to learn. I liked learning and I wanted to learn. I needed that yeshivos. And giving the shir in Chicago was my yeshivos at that time. I was a balabas. I was working all day. And I needed something to give me that. If it was just me, myself, I wouldn't come every day. If I had chavrusa, I would come up with an excuse. But having the shir, by the way, it wasn't 3, it was 4 guys. No, it was more like 5 guys for 8 years. So, having that as chayvos pushed me. Yeah, and I missed a bunch of days here and there. There was always an excuse or whatever because it was only 5 people. So I let 5 people down. Now, by the way, because of the size of the shir, I haven't taken a day off in over 840 days.
Wow.
Straight. Shabbosim. And I'm a very inconsistent person. I'm more of the entrepreneurial guy. I start a project and I don't finish. This is the other guy that finishes for me. Here, every single day, I can't take off. I can't sleep in. I can't miss my alarm because if I do, I have all these people that I'm letting down.
How does your family feel?
Built a chayvus that I just can't crawl out of.
How does your family feel that you haven't taken a day off? Don't they deserve to go on vacation with you or spend time?
So when I do go on a vacation, and it's very, very rare, I bring them with me and I do the shir on vacation. I gave a shir for my son's wedding. I gave a shir when my daughter gave birth. I was able to run back. I held the baby for literally 5 seconds. I said, Shalom Aleichem, dropped the baby down and ran, got a taxi and I came to shir 10 minutes late, but I was there. It's just that you have to, that's the beauty of the Daf Yomi, by the way. I think that's one of the main things of Daf Yomi. It changes people's lives because it's consistent. It just gives you that every single day, There's no days off, and you don't want the day off. You want to learn Torah every single day of your life, including Yom Kippur, including Yom Tov, including Shabbos. Sunday's not a day off from Hashem. Sunday, yeah, if you could have a little bit of a downtime, but you got to learn the daf. It's all about being consistent.
I heard you say, it's a great quote. You said the Daf Yomi is not about the daf, it's about the Yomi. It's about making sure that it's
I love that quote.
Day.
As a matter of fact, we're starting the new Masechta. Let me just grab this. So we're starting Masechtas Yavamas next Wednesday, and we have a special edition that Art Scroll printed for us, and it's on the cover. It's not about the daf, it's about the Yomi.
Oh, it says it on the cover.
Like two quotes over there. It's Gishmak to do the daf. It's not about the daf, it's about the Yomi. So yeah, I talk about it all the time.
Wait, when did that transition take place from the 5 to the 10,000? Like what?
Well,
technology.
I did 8 years straight, and then we moved to. I stopped giving the shir in Chicago, and then we moved to Israel 8 years ago. And then once I came here, I started doing like a synopsis of the daf, which morphed into the 8-minute daf, which I sent out WhatsApp every day, just a synopsis, a sikkum of the daf of the day in under 8 minutes. And then they asked me to give a Daf Yomi shir, so I started giving Daf Yomi shir, and that was like 4 years ago. 4 years ago, 4 years and a bit, giving this shir, and it grew.
It's a great gimmick. A lot of people see the headline. They see the headline. They see the headline. It's an 8-minute daf. They don't realize the 8 minutes is the synopsis of the daf. That's how you get.
It's clickbait or whatever they call it. We get them in with the 8-minute, and once they're in, they're like, wait a minute, this is not enough. Maybe this guy gives us shir, a 45-minute shir, and then
there's another guy. There's another guy in our community, Glenn Galish, also a wonderful guy, Baal Tshuva, amazing guy, loves learning, can never connect to Gemara. Same story, he told me. He goes, I see this thing advertised 8-minute daf. He says to himself, 8 minutes? I have 8 minutes. And he clicks it. Right. He's so entertained, inspired. He's so connected. He looks at his watch. He goes, "What's that? That's not 8 minutes. I'm 45 minutes into this thing." He goes, I can't turn it off. He goes, then the next day, I said, you know what? If I found the time yesterday, I could find the time the next day. So he's still like in his mind, he's like, it's just 8 minutes, even though he knows it's not 8 minutes. But somehow that. So there's so many things you're tapping into about marketing, psychology, psyche, and I wonder how much you would recommend. First of all, how much of it was premeditated, planned, strategic? How much of it did you stumble on and trip on and you're figuring it out as you go? And how much of it do you think that we can extrapolate and connect to other learning? Can we connect this to school? Do we have kids who are disconnected and we can make it fun and engaging and props and times and 8 minutes? And so was it planned? Was it strategic? Did you trip on it? And do you think this is a model for promoting learning at all ages?
So I don't think you could plan something like this. This is just pure hashgacha and siyata d'shmaya, and it's I literally every day I wake up and I can't believe what's going on here. It's like it's incredible to me. So many people, seriously, it's really incredible. So I didn't plan it. I did plan to make a shir that's super exciting from day one. I had 8 guys on the first day, and I said, day one, we're not going to serve food because then it's going to become too much about the food. Let's give amazing coffee. I went out and got the best coffee machine you could buy in Israel with lattes and this and that, good coffee beans. We started like that. And it started growing, and I was into the charts. My father-in-law, who's a surgeon, he gives a very nice Daf Yomi share every single week on the weekends. And he's very into the charts, hand scribble. So I took that idea of, making charts by hand, and I took it to the next step. I did, more graphics and more pictures from the internet, etc., making it more interesting. But that idea I got from him, and then people started coming. It started 8 and 9, 10, and it started growing pretty rapidly to the point where we couldn't fit in the room anymore. We had like 40 people, and then I decided we have to build a building. So we actually have the first Merkaz Daf Yomi, the first building built, I believe, just for Daf Yomi. It's a man cave for Torah. I have this TV screens behind me, in front of me. 3 amazing coffee machines and a hot chocolate machine and slurping machine. Just a man cave for Torah.
It's incredible.
So now about the children that you're asking, it's incredible to see. We have on a daily basis. So in the base marriage, we have about 80 to 100 people every morning during shir, and a very large part of those people are children. We have children 10 years old that are pushing their parents. They want to come to shir. They want to come to shir. They get in trouble with the schools, but they keep on coming. We have kids with ADD. The shir is very, very good for ADD for some reason. The ADD kids are like this the entire share because they don't know when the next picture is coming, when the next joke is going. And I ask questions once in a while. I'll say, only kids could answer. And it's amazing to see how much they retain. From like they get this visualization of whatever it is, the picture. I was asking these yeshiva guys, and this wasn't during shir. Just the other day, I had some guests. Why do you have to do Daf Yomi? We do Eon. This whole argument over Shabbos. So I look at the guy and say, hey, Mashiach is going to come this week. You're going to look like I'm an Amaretz. How many korbanos do you have to bring on Sukkot? How much do you have to pay from your pocket? Like one. Well, the other guy says 26. So I said, why don't we ask this kid that goes to shir? Yeah, no way he knows. He's only, and the kid knew. He said 3 korbanos, and I said, which ones? He started saying Elas Riyah, Shami Chagiga, Shami Simcha. The kid knew, so it was amazing. So to answer your question, yes, I have a kid that they want to ship him out of the country to this special school because he got kicked out of school 14 times this year. And when they told, I couldn't believe it. There's a kid that sits still in a seat. He never misses a day. His eyes are wide open watching. So kids appreciate this stuff, and so do adults.
So we're living in a time basically that frontal learning, like here's a text, we're learning, we're old, we stroke our beard, we're boring, it's monotonous. That in other areas of life, they're seeing engagement, multimedia, it's entertaining, and you're bringing that into the teaching of Torah, not at the expense of corrupting Torah, but elevating Torah and enhancing Torah, which actually is a question I have, which we'll get back to, but I want to ask you a different one first. I think two of them I'm on the rabbi team. I happen to be a rabbi. I'm a Rav. Right. So I love Rabbanim. I love Magidei Shir.
I love Rabbanim.
I'm on the rabbi team. But you, I think maybe, I don't know the data and the stats, but it would seem to me two of the more, if not most popular Daf Yomi shiurim in the world today are taught by Balabatim. You and Shirley Bornstein. Very learned Balabatim, extraordinary Balabatim, phenomenal teacher Balabatim, but people whose careers are not in Chinuch, Rabbanas, in Klei Kodesh. What do you make of that? What do you think that tells you that today, two of the most popular Daf Yomis on the planet, at a time in which Daf Yomi is being taught, we have 3 daily Daf Yomis in our shul alone. There's Daf Yomi all over the place. It's incredible, Baruch Hashem. It's a beautiful thing. What do you make of the fact that two of the most, if not the most popular Daf Yomis today are not taught by Mechanchem or Rabbanim, but are taught by quote-unquote Balabatim?
So it goes back to the same thing. People ask me all the time, why don't you have a beard? Halachically, Reb Chaim Kanievsky says this, and this one says that. And it's about me being relatable. I want people to know I'm a balabas. I'm a real estate guy. I shave like you guys. I'm just like everybody else. And I think that's one of the reasons people relate. A lot of people had a bad experience in yeshiva with a rebbe, with a rosh yeshiva, and they associate the beard and also the thing is, like, that guy is way up here. He knows all of Torah. He knows. I'll never be like that. Here's a guy, I don't have a good memory. I stumble. I make mistakes like everybody else. Once in a while, I make a really bad mistake during shir, and it's okay. You know what I mean? I don't claim to be a learner or a masmid, or I'm a balabas, and a balabas gives a shir, and that they relate to that. And it's very interesting. I have rosh yeshivas that watch the shir. We have rosh yeshivas. I have two kol guys that just took a test on 1,000 daf of Gemara. They like it. It's entertaining. It's relaxing, and it goes. And then you have the guys that haven't opened up the sefer, like you're mentioning, in 10 years. And I kid you not, I get an email like that at least once a day, because one of the things I do, I start every shir with emails. I read, I show pictures of the guys just to get the chabura together. It's not just an online shir. We're a mishpacha. It's a chabura. I say, okay, here's the guy from Boca Raton. Here's the guy from Miami. And here's the guy from here, and then here's this picture learning with the son. Here's this picture learning it in the delivery room, etc. But one thing I get, I'll show you pictures if you want. We're very big into learning on the plane. But one thing I get every day, I haven't opened up a sefer in 10 years. Right. Yesterday, a guy came over to me. He says, you changed my life, whole thing. My dad made his first siyum, and he's 76 years old. 76 years old yesterday. So, yeah, I that's one of the reasons. It's a combination of things. Like you said, the multimedia. Today, we're learning a sugya of Tum and Tahara. I need to make it exciting. It's a scary sugya. So I took a friend of mine. I went to the mikvah, And I said, if we do it like this and we type it like that, and how come it's okay? And I'm going to show it tomorrow on the screen. You know, a little bit of multimedia. Use the technology that's out there that I know people are fascinated. They're glued to the TV screens. Let's use it for Torah.
It's fantastic. So you're famous for your visual aids, animals, full-size mizbeach, zrikas adam. Your incredible creativity goes into. So I imagine part of your prep is not just the daf, like the taich, what is the translation of the words and what's the raid, what are the insights to offer, but how can I make this come alive? So first of all, I'll come back to Halavai. I'm sure they do, and they deserve our praise and acknowledgement. Our educators and teachers of our children should put in the same energy, creativity, effort, planning to bring in those aids and to engage them. What are your 2 or 3 favorite visuals you've ever used? What are the most outrageous, what are the most outlandish, what are the ones you're most proud of, that your favorite visuals that you ever brought into the daf?
Okay, that's a good one. I got to think about it. One that comes to mind, I don't have it with me or any picture, but I had a full-size mizbeach, and I said that when I was doing the demonstration, I got up. I said, I want to show you how you smear the blood of an animal on the mizbeach. I said, I worked really hard, and I got real blood for this demonstration. So I took blood, and I smeared it on the mizbeach. And I said, okay, first he puts it on this corner, then he puts it on the next corner. And when I was done, I said, you know, it's usher to drink blood, but for ratings, maybe I would do it. Get extra ratings, but you can't do it if it's animal blood. So I want to show you where this blood came from. I go under my desk and I pull out a salmon that's like 2 feet long, a massive salmon, and blood is and I took a lick from the blood, and they went nuts. They couldn't believe it. It was disgusting. It was gross. I'm like, you have to do this. Anything for ratings. And I said, you know, if I show you that the blood is from a fish, then it's mutter, because it's fish blood, and I'm telling you where it's from. And I said, okay, let me do it again. And again, and then I told them, guys, I said, it's fake blood. Don't worry about it. I showed them how I made the blood. But I brought a real fish. I'm holding this fish. It cost me $200 in Israel. And it's oozing blood. It was great. That was the one great one. This week alone, I don't know if this is one of my better. I have a picture right in front of me. I brought a live-size lion to the shiur. Just why? Because it was one of these sugyas it wasn't going anywhere. You know, there's no jokes, there's no story. It was like, but the Gemara mentioned lion is the king of the animals. So I had this lion draped. It cost us maybe $500 to get it to the shiur. It's one of these prop places for movies. We got it, and I undraped it. I sat on it. First, I got on and sat on it, and I said, and I undraped it. This is the king of all that. I got emails. How could you do that in a beis medrash? It's terrible. And then I get emails. That was the best thing I've ever seen. Here's a picture.
Great. Where did you get these ideas from?
I don't know.
You're looking at.
I really think it's Yad Shmaya. It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm doing the sugya, but nothing's coming. It's like, what's going to be today? And then all of a sudden, Hashem throws an idea. Sometimes they're crazy, wacky ideas. Yesterday, I was excited about it, and it backfired. It ended up not the best, and maybe this is what the guy was talking about. The Gemara says the word Alexa. I'm like, wait a minute, Alexa, we got to do something with Alexa. So I read the word. I said Alexa was nifter, and this is literally how the art scroll puts the nekudas. It's literally called Alexa. So I go, you know, this is interesting, and I stop in the middle of the shot. I go, Alexa, who gives the best Daf Yomi share in the world? And all of a sudden, from the speakers of the beis medrash, he goes, this is Alexa. MDY is the best shear in the world. And, you know, the guys are laughing. And then I said again, Alexa, who gives the best shear in the world? She goes, again, the same thing. And then she goes, do I need to repeat myself like a parrot? But she said a word that wasn't appropriate, not a curse word, but she said freak. I don't want to say the whole word now. So the editor bleeped it out, but it almost sounds that he's bleeping out a curse word. So I got these emails. You don't understand how people were. How could a
I
man
understand. Trust me, I understand.
But I thought it was funny. The guys were on the floor, and it wakes everybody up. It's early in the morning, it's 7:15 in the morning. They get up. Oh, it was a funny. They don't even know why. They said, we had a great time in cheer. It's because of this joke, that thing, and in between, I stick in the learning. We finish the daf, and it's great.
So part of what you're attracting people because they don't want to miss. Like, what outrageous thing is Rav Eli going to do tomorrow? I got to check it out. I got to see what the visual is going to be.
That's part of it. Well, obviously, it doesn't happen every day. Sometimes it's 2 days in a row. Sometimes not. But yeah,
it's amazing. And you're also famous for your visuals, right? Who prepares those visuals? Who imagines them? How long does it take to put them together? You have one there?
You mean like the regulars? Like,
Yeah.
How about this one?
Video building.
I'll tell you about this one. This one, I learned from a Gemara that has nekudos. I said this story a bunch of times, but I got to tell it to you. A guy in Chicago came over to me and he goes, "I don't understand. You actually use a Gemara with nekudos?" I go, "Yeah. My Siddur has nekudos. Nobody ever said anything about that. My Chumash has. My Mishnah Brura even has nekudos. So my Gemara has. Yeah, but the yeshivos." And then he goes like this. He says, "Bishloma, if you're Amaritz, I understand, but you're not Amaritz." And I'm scratching my head. I'm thinking there's a way. Whoa, this guy needs nekudos because he doesn't even know how to say Amaretz. He's such Amaharetz, he doesn't even know how to say Amaretz. So from then on, I started calling it Amharitz. And it goes with this. Anytime I have a sugya of Amaharetz, I do this, Amharitz. And then, check this out. If I can find, a guy in New York sends me this. This is real.
Hang on, I'm just signing up for this Daf Yomi right now. Give me a second.
So it became a thing, like, don't be Amaretz, do the daf, something like that.
It's really amazing. So who puts those visuals?
Just another thing, real quickly. I was in Los Angeles a few months ago with my wife. And we're sitting outside in this cafe, and all of a sudden this pickup truck starts honking its horn, like looking, and he's like what? He's going crazy, like he's showing me something. Fine, I don't understand what he gets out of the pickup truck. And he says, "You got to see my license plate." And he literally had a drill. He pulled it off and he gives it to me as a gift. Here it is.
8-minute daf. Wow.
8-minute daf.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
So you're tapping into everything. Go ahead, Rabbi Broide.
Yeah, I'm saying every minute of Torah is important. So a 6-minute daf or a 3-minute daf review versus a 15-minute daf. How do you settle on 8?
Well, here's the thing. The main thing, my focus right now is 45-minute daf.
Okay.
In the 45-minute daf, that's when I do all the shtick and I get on the table and I this and on the line. The 8-minute daf, which by the way I haven't done in a few weeks, I got out of it. I have to get back into it. But the 8-minute daf is, I work on it really hard. I take the whole sugya. It's the bottom line of the sugya. It's not the shakla b'tari. It's not the back and the forth. It's the bottom line. The halachas that come out that you have something to grasp, and that only takes 5 to 8 minutes. And that also comes, we edit it and we put my charts in the background, but you're not going to have the jokes, you're not going to have the stories, the hashkafa and all that.
Can I ask you a little bit of a personal question? You could
anything you want.
So I did a little research to get to know a little bit about your background. You could share it with our listeners and our audience because there's a lot to learn from that, how you grew up, the yeshivas that you went to, Passaic, Brisk, Mir, Chicago, Panovich, married, living in Chicago, catering business. First of all, milchik or fleishiks?
Weddings, fleishiks.
Fleishiks, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, fleishiks.
Yeah.
What was your signature dish? What was the best thing that you made?
The stuffed kishka chicken. Chicken with kishka inside. People love that stuff.
That's good stuff. That's good
Especially the women. No, I'm just kidding.
You went from catering to real estate, and I've heard you tell the story about the opportunity that came your way and the courage, the guts it took to take that leap and to make it happen. And Baruch Hashem, today you're a successful real estate entrepreneur, so successful that you're really learning full time. So if you weren't, and again, I'm not going to be presumptuous in saying this, I think you've said it, but if you weren't independently wealthy, or if you didn't have this real estate successful income, would you have the courage to use these props and be somewhat irreverent and give the daf in this way? Meaning, is it easier to get all that hate email and dismiss it and not care about it because I'm independent? I'm doing this because I love it. I'm putting my own money and time into it. Do you think if you were paid to give the daf, if you were in Rabbanas or Chinuch or Klei Kodesh and you're worried about your career and a parnasa, you wouldn't be able to have the same courage or boldness to teach in the way that you are?
I never thought about it like that. I never thought of the money. I know that I have a backing. I have a lot of people behind me that are pushing, and they're rooting for me, and I could tell. I say, okay, this lion, they're probably going to like it. There's going to be some people on the fringe. There are a lot of very serious people. There's a lot of people, different personalities. A lot of people don't like my jokes. I don't understand why they watch the shir. So they watch the shir and then they complain. Well, this joke, the lion. I got one of the complaints. You're in the middle of a sugya of srafim v'chayos. And it was one of these sugyas that literally I don't understand anything about. It's all Kabbalah, everything. And that's why I had nothing to say about it. So right before we went to the chayos, and I said, this is not what is up there. This lion is just a mushal. The Gemara calls it a lion, but this is not it. Let me show you what it's not. This is it. And then I gave a little bit of a twist. I explained why the lion, like a psychology thing, a little piece. The lion is not the strongest animal in the jungle. The elephant is way stronger than a lion. It could probably pop him in a second. It's not the quickest animal. So why is it the king of that? And I went on to explain it. It's in the head. He acts like a king. He thinks he is. We have to come out. We have to. So to answer your question, I never thought about it that way. I think about it more like, okay, I'm established. I have a following. And if that guy doesn't like it, but I always had a chutzpah to me. And you have to use your, whatever kaiches you have, or chesroinus, it might be a chesaron, this chutzpah, and use it and channel in the right direction.
Right. It's a holy chutzpah.
I don't view money. A lot of people tell me, it's interesting. This is the first time somebody used it like that, but I get it all the time. Hey, it's not fair. You have all this money, so of course you're learning all day. So to that I tell them, you know how many millionaires I know from Chicago? I lived in Chicago, for 15 years. I was the poorest guy in the shul. There's multi-gazillionaires there. I don't see anybody. None of them are learning, but they have all this money. So money doesn't translate to learning. There's many people that don't have money at all, and they're learning, crazy hours. And there's people that have a lot of money, they'll learn a word. One thing has nothing to do with the other. But yeah, I mean, I could. That's what people, they right away started associating. You have this, so that's why you do this. But I think it's in here. It's more of an attitude.
Are there other things you enjoy learning besides Gemara? Like if you're not doing the daf, what else would you be studying? What else would you be learning?
I mean, I love Gemara. I love Gemara. I have others darim. I do Mishnayos. I do Shnai Mikra. I love Mishnah Brura. I went through it a few times. I don't do it now, but probably Mishnah Brura would be the answer.
Maybe bring
a Mishnah Brura, which I don't.
We'd love a Mishnah Brura shir online. Maybe that's next.
Yeah, but I don't have time. I don't have time. There's so many people are asking, give me a chumash shir, give me this shir, do the art scroll asking, do the Mishnayos shir. Everything takes time. I want to deliver it well. I want to be good at it. I can't just give a Mishnayos shir and not put my all into it.
You could tell time. Yeah,
how much time does it take to prepare? I'm saying you have 45-minute shir. Are you putting 45 minutes into that, or 4 hours into preparing that shir?
It's literally all day long. All day long.
Wow.
All day long. And I get up very early before shir, and I just go all day.
Yeah, Rabbi Broide, he's not telling you that he learns until 1 a.m., then he sleeps till 3. He gets up, prepares, gives the daf, and he takes a nap in the afternoon, and that his life has
gone. I didn't know this stuff.
His life
not accurate, but it's
kishka stuffed chicken.
Just say they're not saying that about me or some of the other people.
Right. Even if you divide that in half, it went from chicken with kishka, which, by the way, I'm getting hungry for lunch, dinner, and kishka stuffed chicken, to real estate, to learning all day. It's geschmack. It's really unbelievable. Refael, the thing we haven't touched on yet, which I'd love to talk about a little bit, is your daf is more than just the shir, right? So you're using all these tools, we'll call them tools and instruments, to get people's attention, to hook them, and the diversity of the people that you have is extraordinary. Rosh Yeshiva to beginners, we've spoken about in our own community, who are believers and who are hooked. But it's more than the daf. You've really created a movement. I know there are these Stefansky groups, WhatsApp groups. They have watch parties, and they have local shiurim, and there are 10,000 people networked and connected. And you're a brand. There's a brand of your daf where even people doing chesed and helping and volunteering one another. And like I said, these watch parties and these relationships, and they pass each other Yeshiva week in Disney World. Oh, Stefansky guy, like, that's all they have in common, but now they're like brothers. So you created this whole movement beyond the daf. If you could comment again, did you see that coming? Did you work on that? Did it happen on its own? But I'm more curious to know, is there a negative to that, an unintended consequence? How do you make it about the daf? In this age of influencers, you've become a Torah influencer. Does that ever go to your head? Do you have concern that it goes to your head? You have this Jewish celebrity status. How do you keep it about the daf and the Torah and not about promoting you and the kavod? Did you see it coming, and how do you manage that part of it?
So I hope I get all of them. I didn't see it coming, but I definitely worked on it. I push it. I pushed the camaraderie. And one thing that I want to touch upon, which is almost something that you were talking about, is we have something so unique, and that is that we have diversity. The achdus in the shir is just something you don't see. If you go on Zoom, because we do live Zoom, live YouTube, on Zoom you'll see the United Nations. You have Hasidim that barely speak English with the payas and everything, next to the Mizrahi guy that's wearing his sandals and open toes or whatever. The child and the zaken, the 70-year-old and the 80-year-old, and it's just everything. The Sephardim, Ashkenazim, Lubavitchers. Some of my best friends, I'm Litvish. Some of my best friends are Chabad and Lubavitch. From the shir, people, the chesed that goes on between the two, the bikur cholim between Lubavitch and Litvish and Lubavitch, and the nichum avelim. It's literally, I believe that alone is bringing Mashiach. Just thousands of Yidden that are getting together, and they feel comfortable with each other because they're gathering to learn Torah. They have a common cause. They're gathering to learn Torah. So yeah, I push that aspect, and we talk about it a lot. Talk about chesed, talk about sinas chinam and ahavas chinam and all that. So yeah. What else did you ask me? You asked me about the gaiva getting to my head.
No, so, yeah. I'm not at the Khalila. I'm not suggesting it does.
No.
You seem to me very humble.
Very legitimate.
How do you manage that?
In fact, there's a joke in the shir. There's a whole debate. Am I a bal gaiva? Am I an anav? And I feed them. I let them go with it. And I say gaiva delio. I said I saw in the sefer. I made up my own sefer. Gaiva delio. Funny. He's such an anav that he says he's a bagaiva. Nobody's a bagaiva that he's a bagaiva because he said he's anav. Anyway, let them debate it. My idea is that I'll come on a program like this. I'll do meaningful people, whatever it is. I'll be on the cover of a magazine. If I could get 2 more people to join the shir, then it's worth it. I'll take the risk of being a bagaiva. I'll take the risk of people say that I'm haughty and this and that. I want more people to learn Torah, whatever it takes. So sometimes I'll talk about myself. I'll say, hey, I did this, and I was on a plane and I learned from, I never said this in shir actually, but I'll tell it to you. I learned from the time I left Ramat Bet Shemesh to the time I got to Chicago, I did Chazara on 60 daf. I said this once in private on a Zoom meeting that we had 40 people, and because of that one time saying it, this guy Mo Landy from Muncie, he finished the entire Masechtas Moed Katan, traveling from Muncie to Eretz Yisrael. So if I was an inspiration to him, so yes, I spoke about myself and I learned 60 daf. But you know what? Somebody out there is going to say, this balabas, instead of watching movies, which I used to do the entire flight, I opened up a Gemara and I learned 60 daf. Maybe I could do it also. Maybe not 60. Maybe I'll do 20. Or maybe I'll do 1. If I'm an inspiration for somebody else, then it's worth it. And I see that it's working. People are relating. They say, hey, he could do it. Why can't I do it?
There's a lot of haters out there, and often they're jealous, they're insecure. But look at what you're building and the Torah that you're inspiring. And I just told you,
you know what? They might have merit to their every taina. The line has merit. I agree. There's always, and it's a fine line. And a lot of people would say, I'm not going to talk about myself. It's not important. They'll come on their own. But I want to give that extra push. So I risk it. I'll take the risk, but I'm bringing somebody else to Torah.
There's a lot, we don't want to get distracted by this conversation, but I want to ask it specifically to you. There's a lot of being produced right now surrounding the daf, and people are employing all kinds of tools to be able to get people to talk about language of the daf. Do you ever worry that you're crossing the line? Maybe you're using too many gimmicks, or too cute, or too irreverent, and maybe, where are the boundaries of what you should stay within in terms of the Masorah and showing the sense of Ema and Resas for Torah, versus that we need this excitement and this matzav and this joy and this geschmack in order to get people. Do you wonder where that line is? And again, I'll ask you a personal question. You don't have to answer. Who's your Rebbe? Who do you turn to? Who keeps you in line? Who do you go to that is the gut check? Because as the world is pushing behind you, 10,000 will become 11,000, will become 25,000. Because something goes viral doesn't mean it has value. Because something has a wide appeal doesn't mean it's right. So in this case, obviously it is. Look at what you're doing, and we believe in it. We wouldn't have you on if we didn't. But who's your go-to? Is there a Rebbe? Are there Rebbeim? Are there Chaverim who help keep you within the boundaries?
So I think one answers the other, actually. So first of all, I want to tell you where I come from. My father is a very big learner, huge masmid, wears talis and tefillin all day long, and it's been like that since I was born. So I grew up in a house where my father didn't learn in kollel. He didn't have a job. He was once a rebbe in Shar Yashav for a very short period, but he's always a huge masmid. I always saw him with the Gemara, learning. Big Yerushalayim, and he's my go-to if I have a real question or whatever. He's very popular here in Eretz Yisrael. People come to him for brachas, etc. So I think, and he knows Kol HaTorah Reb Chaim Kanevsky. I saw Reb Chaim Kanevsky stand up for my father. So I go to him if I have a big thing. But in general, this kollel that I learn in the kollel for an hour, and my chavrusa knows Kol HaTorah Kula Bal Peh. And that's I'll give you an example just from today. Because I was going to the mikvah, I said, I have a great idea. In my mind, this was a great idea. And I've done this in the past. I thought it was a great idea. And they chopped it down right away. I said, hey, how bad would it be if I go into the mikvah with my clothing and I have a Gemara and I'm learning, and then a guy comes up? It'll be so funny. A guy in the mikvah learning. They said, no, you're not doing it. Okay. If they didn't give me the stamp, I'm not going to do it. But that's how my brain works. I want to push the envelope. And they keep me in check. So most of my stuff, most of my jokes or stories, I had a story, I don't want to even say it now. It's just a story about Sari Menu, and a guy got really upset. How can you talk like that? And I went through it with them, and I said, could I say this story? They said, yeah, it's in the Sfarim. It's brought down in the Statmir Rav Sefer. He asked the question, he says the story. Sure. But people got upset nevertheless. So, but anyway, my point is, almost everything that I do, besides if it's like on the spot kind of thing, I try to, go over it with them and say, how do you think it's okay? And most of the time, they're open-minded, even though they're kollel guys and everything. They're open-minded. I trust my chavrusa. I call him my Rebbe. He's younger than me, much younger, but he knows a lot more than me, and he's much smarter, and I trust him.
It's so important to have people around you like that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just wondering, one of the people that we always have to contend
did you sign up yet?
I have to push enter. I'm too intrigued by this whole conversation. But one of the people in our lives that we always have to contend with, certainly it's not just our rebbeim, and it's not just the community that we're trying to teach or inspire.
Our
it's
spouses.
Our spouses. So like many times I hear this, and again, I do love my wife, and this I've heard this many times, where she'll say, "Why can't you just be a little bit more normal? Why can't you just do what everyone else is doing? Why do you have to try push?" You get that kind of pushback also internally, and you say, "Listen, I don't know if is it worth the fight? Is it worth the?"
Because I'm extreme. I'm really extreme, and my wife is a tzaddikus. She really is. That she puts up with me because I'm not I'm here. I built this room that I'm in. This is where I sit all day long, and it's in direct. You could see my wife could see me all day long because I did it purposely so that my children should be able to see me learning. I could go upstairs and it's a lot quieter, but I want them to see me. But we don't have much contact. She could see me, but this is where I am, and I go to sleep late. I get up early, that sort of thing. So she's sacrificing a tremendous amount. And yes, I do have pushback, but I have a vision and I have a dream, and I know what I'm doing is important, and I have to be considerate to her. At the same time, I have to be firm for what I'm doing, and it's a balance. I see a lot of people, I can't do the daf. My wife doesn't let this, that. I get it. But at the same time, she'll come around. And my wife is proud. My wife is behind me 100%. Does she appreciate? I used to take her out every week, and we used to go on vacations all the time. You know, I'm a big snowboarder. I used to go snowboarding 3-4 times a season. I haven't gone in 3-4 years. And to take her out to a restaurant, I think we went once this entire year, once. And it's a tremendous sacrifice for her. I get it. But she sees what it's doing to me. And I tell people, the guys, I want to talk about this for a second, if you don't mind, because it leads into this. The daf is not about learning Torah. I learned this now as we're going along. The daf transforms people's lives 100%. Literally transforms lives. How do I know? Because I get hundreds and hundreds. I could show you every email I read, I print. I have stacks, thousands. It's changed my life. It becomes so like everybody's saying the same thing every day. It's changed my life. No, I promise you, Rebbe, it changed. Yeah, I know. It changes lives. Why? Because Torah does that, and I bring out the hashkafa in the daf. I show where it's relevant to us on a day-to-day basis. You know, Havas Hashem, Yiras Hashem. Anytime there's a Rashi that hints to something about Torah, about Chesed, about Avodas Hashem, I bring it out and I say a story about this gadol, that thing, and it changes lives. Literally, people are davening better. And going back to your point, the relationship with their wives is much better. Everything. I point out the respect you need to have to women, to your wife. How you should treat your children.
I'm trying to sign up here.
I was wondering what you're watching there, Rabbi Broide.
By the way, here, you played the Good Morning Rabbi Sai. What's interesting is people are playing that in their homes, and children are repeating. I just played a video. Instead of reading an email, I played a video somebody sent me. It's his 2 daughters, like 6 years old. They're saying, "Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Good morning, Rabbi Sai." Ah, and then he catches them fighting over, is it ah or is it e? No, it's not ah. It's e. It was so funny. But my point is, kids are growing up with Torah. It's a whole different thing. Watching your father watch Netflix or watching your father do the daf. Going on vacation and the guy is schlepping, the first thing he pats in his suitcase is his art scroll Gemara versus, what it was a year ago. He didn't know, he didn't care. And now they see, before we go on a trip, Daddy's going to open up the Gemara, do the daf for 40 minutes, then we're going to go. And it changes everything. The wife has more respect. The children have more respect. They grow up differently. I'm telling you, the daf literally changes lives.
It's an important conversation because you read a letter recently from a man who said that his wife challenged him. I think you love the daf more than you love me. And I'm sure you're aware that led to a whole conversation online, offline, about what happens when you're on different religious trajectories and what happens when a person seems more in love with their Torah and their mitzvahs than they are with their spouse. And like you said, it's supposed to make you a better husband, a better father, a better friend, and so on, and not the opposite. It led to an important conversation. Are you surprised to hear some people watching you? Do you have any feedback? Are there women watching your daf? How do you feel about that? Are there non-Jews watching your daf that have found it and are entertained by it? Do you get feedback about people that you wouldn't expect who are in the greater audience?
Yeah. There's everything you mentioned. We have a lot of non-Jews that watch. There's a lot of people in the process of converting that are watching. They have the black cat and everything, but they're not Jewish yet. We have. I just read an email from a guy that was in jail, and he's Jewish, and he has tattoos all the way down his face. And he sent us a picture. I showed the picture. He's on Zoom every single day. He's very serious. He has Gdolim pictures behind him, but he has the tattoos that he got in prison, and transformed his life. The whole thing. We have women, but I don't. A lot of women. I don't go that route because I don't want to talk about something that's going to stir the pot, and I'm going to get emails. And why do you have to bring it up? So, a long time ago, a woman asked me, "Is it okay if I watch your shir?" I said, "It's online. You can do whatever you want." I addressed it to the crowd. I said, "I'm not passing halachas now. We're an online shir. What people do with the shir and how they do it, that's your business. I'm here." And then, once in a while, we reach a Gemara like that talks about teaching your daughter Torah. I bring the Rambam and says it's mutter, and this one says this, and I go into it, and we move on, that sort of thing. Surprising to me were the Rosh Yeshivos that watched the shir. This is Rosh Yeshivos. There's a Rosh Yeshiva from Lakewood that watches every day. And he asked me, of course, not to mention his name. You have Rabbi Kalish from Waterbury, who doesn't mind that I mention his name. 2 days ago, somebody told me about his Rosh Yeshiva. It's funny, a guy, Mendy Auerbach is it's here. I'll show you a picture of what he looks like. A real yeshiva guy. This one right over here. So he tells me that a guy walks over to him in Shul the other day. This real serious guy. Oh, I just showed you a picture that I want to talk about. But okay, anyway, this is me demonstrating Kriya and Ishtachava. I literally got on the table and laid flat on the table to show them what they did, Kairim and Shtachavim, how you prostate or whatever it's called in English. Anyway, he's in Shul, and a guy comes over and he says, Mark Ashkenazi's in from America. Shh, don't say anything. He said, you watch the shir, you don't have internet. Don't tell anything. Every day, yeah. So, when I hear that a Chashuv Rosh Yeshiva watches it, I get all excited. It's cool, But yeah, it goes from the Rosh Yeshiva to the non-Jew, and literally, so in India, we get from Korea, all these interesting emails. Yeah.
As public a person as you are, first of all, thank you for your time. We're gonna wrap it up. We could talk to you for hours on end. As public as a person as you've become, and we'd love to continue this conversation. There's so much to learn about your transformation from this private caterer to a breakout real estate successful, whatever you want to call it, Gvir culture person, to a to the biggest Maggid shir in the world. You probably have the largest shir going in the world daily today, which is really extraordinary. So with all that the world has come to learn and know about you, what's something about you people don't know? Snowboarding. I didn't know you like snowboarding. What's something about you that people don't know?
I think everybody knows I'm a pilot. I used to own a plane. They know I'm crazy. They might not know I'm very, very sensitive. I feel for other people. Maybe that part. I really... When I get an email about somebody that's sick, or I literally cry. So don't send me these hate mails. It hurts me. I'm a sensitive guy. I think that's part of it also. Like, because I'm sensitive, I have this tough exterior, but they see me crying. I'm not embarrassed to cry, and I cried many times during shir. I mean, especially in the when I read the email about something, just recently I spoke about my son. And we were learning tainas. I don't know how much time we have left. I'll just say it real quickly. I spoke about my son who mastered Masechtas Tainas, and it was the first day of Masechtas Tainas, and it hit me. I said, wait a minute, this is my son Akiva's Masechta. So I went and I looked for his notes, and I had pictures of him, all the notes he wrote in the Masechta. And I said, my son, even though today he doesn't wear tefillin, but he always has his Masechtas Tainas with him. It's true. He schlepped it to California, and I burst out crying. So I'm about to cry now. So I don't want to cry. I got such feedback, and people were, we're gonna daven and this, but I don't have a problem crying in public like that if it's gonna, be my son. But yeah, the sensitive part, I think they might know that. What else don't they know about me? Oh, I used to dunk. I was very proud of that.
Wow.
I'm not a very good basketball player because I grew up in Israel. I had 3 years that I did in Israel in that kind of room, but I was a flake back in the day. What else? I don't know.
That's impressive. How much coffee do you drink?
Oh, I just discovered coffee is my lifesaver. I just discovered it now in my 40s. I didn't know about it. I don't want to take any medicine, any Tylenol. I don't want any coffee in my body. But coffee, once I discovered it, it added hours to my day. So it's 2 cups. 2 cups a day.
What gives you the energy? Do you exercise? Do you work out?
Nope. Unfortunately, I don't even play ball anymore. I just stopped playing ball. I used to play basketball every week here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and because of COVID, I stopped. And then I think I need a new hip. Not I think. I just went to the doctor, unfortunately.
Aye.
I had knee surgery from basketball. I had all the good stuff, and now I got to start working out. Yeah.
The dunking days are
over.
Find
time.
Unbelievable. You're spending your time doing incredible things. Right, Brody, you have a last question?
Yeah, just one last point here.
Brody, you're so quiet.
For anyone that listen up.
You, Rabbi Stefansky, you get your hate mail. I get the hate mail that says, "How come you don't ever let Brody speak? How can you let him?"
Exactly?
I don't know what he's going to ask. So if I knew what he was going to ask, I'd let him speak more.
Right. See, I would be good on that 8-minute daf or the 45-minute. You just don't know what's going to happen next. Let me ask a question.
You got to do it. Look, I don't want to mention the competition, but Nachi Gordon from Meaningful People, the entire interview, I'm like bugging. So are you going to do the daf? Are you going to do the daf? I don't want to. And he's been doing the daf for like a half a year now. He didn't commit.
That's my question. I'm on the website. How do you sign up? Because it says I went to the free Gemara, but then it says, "Are you currently learning, or do you plan?"
They're gonna kill me. I didn't say this.
Yeah.
Join dafyomi.com. You get a free Gemara. Join dafyomi.com. I hope I'm allowed to stick that in. It's
no, of
very,
course.
very
We have you. Hold on. We're gonna even add it here.
No, but I'm saying, but I went to where am I? Am I in the right place? America's Daf Yomi?
Yeah, America's Daf Yomi is MDY. That's our name now. America's Daf Yomi / 8-minute daf.
So which one do I go to? Watch live on Zoom, subscribe to full Daf Yomi, join the 8-minute WhatsApp, subscribe to the 8-minute daf. How do I get everything? How do I sign up for this?
I don't know. I'm new to this. I've never done it. I never signed up. Now you go to join. Oh, beautiful. Join dafyomi.com. And over there, you sign up. They're going to send you. You get a brand new Gemara here. If you want it in Hebrew, it's in Hebrew. You want a Masifta. Check this out. You're not going to believe this. The front page. It's part of the art scroll. It's printed with our names, with the donors, with a picture of the America's Daf Yomi in here. It's just incredible. You get one of these for free. Here in Eretz Yisrael, this is like a $50 value. I don't know what it costs in America. And you go to YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I'm on All Daf, Torah Anytime, Kol Alashon. You could get the WhatsApp. Over 3,000 people get WhatsApp every day. The shir just goes right into their phone. You just click, you watch it later.
It's amazing.
YouTube is probably the easiest. Torah Anytime, All Daf.
So you have to sign up, or you don't have to? You can just watch it on YouTube.
No, you don't have to sign up. But if you sign up, you get a free Gemara.
Got it. Okay.
Don't sign up. We'll save a Gemara. It's much better.
How many Gemaras? This is Rabbi Stefansky. This is a good chance to plug. We're finishing Seder Moed. You're going to start Yevamos soon.
That's right. I should have said it all the way in the beginning, huh?
How do you feel about Yevamos?
I want to tell you something. This is incredible. This is not even a plug. Over 100 people are flying in from out of the country to Israel to join us for our Siyum March 12th. It's incredible. I'm overwhelmed with emotion thinking about it. The amount of people that want to come and be part of this amazing Siyum. It's a big accomplishment. We're finishing Seder Moed. We're starting a brand new. Oh, I got to show you this. I didn't have a chance. I wish this thing would be 2 hours long. We're doing something in Yevamos that's never been done, I hope. We got cartoon characters. This is a real guy. This is Yossi Klein, a guy who's dedicated and spent over $200,000. And he's not a millionaire. He's a plumber. And we made characters out of these people. And I have something called the Bald Men Brothers. They're 4 guys from our share that are completely bald. Here's one of them, Dr. Factor. And we're going to have animation, and I'm going to use these as the Yavama. Now, I want to show you. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but we have women that are unbelievable. Tznius, but they're going to make you laugh. One of our women, by the way, is like one of those shawl ladies. She's completely dressed in blue, just her eyes peeking out like that, and she's wearing pink Crocs. It's amazing. This one, I'll show you. She's a Yerushalmi lady. So I don't know if you remember being in Eretz Yisrael. You know how they have the phone stuck in their tichel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, this is what she's going to look like. She has 2 phones. She has a kosher phone and a non-kosher phone.
That's great.
So we're going to play around with it a little bit, and we're going to have a lot of fun in Yevamos.
Amazing. You're all geared up. You're all ready. How far in advance are you prepared? 0. Every day for the next day.
It's crazy. I'm not normal. I should be. I was schmoozing with Srili Bornstein. He's like, you got it. I used to be there. You got to get out of this. And he's right. It's something that I could only do 1 daf at a time. I can never be. A couple of weeks ago, I was 2 daf ahead, and I fell behind right away. It's like I have a mind block. I do tomorrow's daf. Right now, I'm working on tomorrow morning.
That's it. That's all that exists. That's all that exists in the world.
I wish it was different, but yeah.
Refael, you're revolutionizing the world. Who knew that daf could still yet be revolutionized? Like, who knew there was still more to add to the daf? But it's a whole movement. It's beautiful. And I want to personally thank you for the people who I know who you've inspired, the people in our kehillah, in our community, who thought that they never had an entrance into Gemara. They thought they were done, and you've invited them in, and you've invited them to be part of your
And we're
community.
going to have Rabbi Broide very, very soon.
Rabbi
Very
Brody,
soon.
will be in.
I'll read his email.
Let me ask you a question. This is an important question.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that someone start from brachas if they're just jumping in and just do it on their own, or
No.
just pick it
This
up?
is what I recommend.
Yeah.
Great question. You start today, and this is one of the things I talk about. One of the reasons why we have a very high retention rate is because of this brilliant idea, and that is you start right now when you have inspiration. We're holding Chagiga Daf Chaf. That's today. You start right there. In the middle of it doesn't matter if it's the middle of a sugi, you just start.
Right.
That's A. B, when you learn the daf, what happens is you miss a day. Every time. Without fail, you're gonna miss a day. You're gonna miss 2 days, 3 days. And people try to make it up on Shabbos and go through the whole thing. So the idea is you never make it up. You always do that day's daf, and whatever you miss, you write down nicely on somewhere in the front of the Gemara that you have to make up these daf. You'll eventually make them up. But if you try to make stuff up, that's how the Yetzer Hara gets you every time. It says, make it up. But it's impossible to make up 3 daf in one day, 4 daf. So it starts growing and growing. And I'm 10 daf out. Forget it. I'm done. So to answer your question, do not start in brachas. I've had people, actually a kid just wrote to me, a 14-year-old kid. I'm doing chagig with you every single day, but I want to make a siyum on Seder Moed, so I'm also doing Masechtas Shabbos as we speak. That's okay. If you want to take on added learning, that's great. By the way, it's not 45 minutes. You go on YouTube, you put it on 1.5 speed, good to go. So it's 35 minutes. You know what I mean?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Rabbi Broide, start today. Trust me. Start today.
Rabbi Brody,
Every day is
do
a
it right now.
loss that you don't
I have about
we're
45
gonna be
minutes
checking.
right now.
We're gonna be checking back with you, and we're gonna see. I'll
Yeah,
tell you. You know what I
I'm
tell
looking
people?
forward. Hey, you're gonna be calling me and you say, "Hey, we didn't know what we were doing when we interviewed you. You changed my life, Eli. I'm doing the daf now since Chagiga Daf Chaf. You told me that. That's what's the next email from you. So
I hope so. I'll
wrote
be
it.
honest. I've tried the daf twice already. I tried it this last brachas.
Everybody
I made
said-
it through 3
You want me to
Masechtas.
show you an email that says those words? Those words I read today. I tried it out 5 times. You're the only time.
Right.
Try it because it's
Yeah.
entertaining and it's fun. It's different than the daf you tried. You went to the daf was some of them are great and they work for some people. They don't work for a lot of people, and that's why people want to have fun.
Give it a
They
shot.
want to be entertained, and it's Torah. It's the same Torah. We're learning the same thing, and even on a better level, on a more pshat is it's real. It's good pshat. It's there. Plus, it's fun. So what's wrong? So I show a pasuk. Every pasuk I read, almost I show it, and I show what's highlighted. This word, you see, compared to this word, it's boring. It's just words, but it brings the pasuk out to real life. You know what I mean? It makes all the difference.
This is the best time to start. I always tell people I'm in my second cycle of daf learning. I have a chavrus I learn every day, and for me, it's a little bit different. As a rav, I give a lot of shiurim a week. I'm learning something I don't teach, so it's my own personal limit, and it works out wonderfully. But I tell people who start in the middle, you have the upper hand. You know, the people who start at the beginning of brachos, it's exciting to be part of a worldwide Siyum HaShas, but it's okay. The whole world's making a Siyum HaShas. Like it's gone. You know, it's not a big deal. When you start in the middle, you're going to send an invitation 3 weeks before. You're going to say, please come to my Siyum HaShas.
Exactly.
And everybody's going, wow, Siyum HaShas, unbelievable. Yeah, whatever. I'm just, please come. I'm making a Siyum HaShas. Then you're the only guy in town. It's like super exciting. It's an unbelievable Siyum HaShas. So now's the time to start.
I started my this year that I'm giving now, Avodah Zarah Daf Chaf Ches.
Interesting. Wow.
Avodah Zarah Daf Chaf Ches is in the middle of nowhere. There's no Mishnah, there's no 2 dots. It's in the middle of nowhere. And that's the point. Because Daf Yomi, every day, sometimes I stop saying it, but sometimes we start a new Mishnah, I go, there's a brand new Masechta. Because it's just a whole new topic. Who cares? What happened. Brachas happened. Your Shas starts by Chagiga Daf Chaf. You go around the circle. When you get to Chagiga Yates, you made a Siyum HaShas. That's it.
It's unbelievable.
It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing in MetLife Stadium. It matters what you're doing.
Right.
It's too late. You can't start from brachas right now. That's 2 years ago. You want to make up 2 years in a month. What do you want to do? Start today, one day at a time.
Unbelievable. Rabbi Brody, you're going to start the Rabbi Stefansky WhatsApp group. You're going to do the watch party in Boca. You're going to do the CM party in Boca.
Yeah, give me the list of the
It's
other guys that are
crazy.
doing it.
See, it's going to happen.
I'm telling you, guys fly. A guy flies to Los Angeles. They never met each other. This guy picks him up from the airport. We're brothers. We're MDY guys. We're from the same mishpacha. What are you talking about?
It's amazing.
That's
It's amazing. Refael, you're doing
you
great stuff.
together, get-togethers.
I love it.
Thank you for all the time.
Why
It's
don't you
been
guys
a lot
come
of fun.
fly in for the Siyum, March 12th? You'll love it. You'll see something you never saw before in your life.
Halavai.
You'll be inspired. People will be crying about, oh, life changing. My shit, my shalom bais is better. My this is better. Everything. Try it.
March 12th is my wife's birthday, so if I fly in, my shalom
Bring
bais
her in.
will
It'll be a
not be
great
better.
gift.
Yeah, Refael, amazing.
You're not leaving her. You're doing it for her.
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
Baruch
No,
Hashem,
but you'll
Baruch
bring her. It's for women also.
amazing. Thank you for your time. We'll let you get back to your learning. You're preparing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate
exciting.
it.
And we know you're going to give Behind the Beam a shout out in the We're
Absolutely.
excited.
Absolutely.
Rabbi Broide, when you listen to tomorrow, I want to make sure you hear the major shout out for Behind the Bima.
Well, that'll be my second daf already. So
That's how we'll know. We'll know if Brody listened. If Brody comes back and
That's
says,
right.
"You did it."
That's right.
What time is it live? It's broadcast live also.
7:15 a.m. Israel time.
So what time is that here? That's like 3.
I don't know what time it is
Eastern
right now in
time.
Florida.
Have to find out. Okay, we'll figure it out.
7:15. Ask Alexa. When 7:15 a.m. in Israel?
Alexa, where's the best Daf Yomi at 7:15?
You're not gonna get. People sent me. Oh, my kids are trying to get that answer. They're not getting it because one of the tech guys, he sat up at night. I called him up at 12 a.m. 12:10. I said, "This is what I want to do. Could you please make this happen?" He said, "Well, I have to get." He sat and he made it happen. Unfortunately, that word slipped in there. I wasn't happy about that, but the idea was cool.
The idea was a good idea. Keep the great ideas going. Thank you for your time. Continue teaching
Thank
Torah.
you.
It was really, really great to be together. Thank you for letting us go behind the Bima.
Thank you.
Rabbi Brody, talk to us. Rabbi
Okay.
Brody.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first of all, I'm like way deep right now in this next Masechta, second day, and I'm loving it. Truma Kachim.
Shuma Kachim. Unbelievable. You're on your way. That's
Great.
it. You're
I'm on my way. I'm signed. Listen, and I can't think of a better way to begin Adar, right? Adar Sheni. Mishenichnas Adar. What better way of enjoying the simcha of a new month than the daf?
Should we be marking our calendars 7.5 years from now? Rabbi Josh Brody Sim.
That's it. I'm telling you, I'm just taking one day at a time.
I want a
And-
calendar invite.
You're invited, but already I'm invited. I'm on like 15 different WhatsApp groups now with this program.
Unbelievable.
I got invited
Well,
to this.
got a bunch of emails in the middle of the interview saying I'm part of the movement. I listen. He's amazing. He's changed my life. Got an incredible text from a dear friend of Behind the Bima with a picture of Behind the Bima and his Gemara. Said took it off the shelf. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm inspired. I'm going for it. Incredible.
By the way,
right?
he did say any swag that we have. He was talking about anyone's stuff. He says send it
Yeah.
over. He gets Meister on everything. So
It's unbelievable.
the whole
One
wall.
thing, major, my dear friend Shraga Goldenhirsch, good friend Shraga, Elia Miriam Levy and family, anonymous gift, Laurie Barnea, Marilyn Norman Palagon, anonymous, Sheila and Ellie Zimmerman, Schreiers, the great Schreier family. The Schreiers have always been the heroes behind the Bima of the global campaign. The Schreiers have made their presence felt. Sharon and Michael Glass, Leigh and Sam Levy, Kalev and Atara Minsky, very generous
I know
donation.
them. Okay.
We love you,
Really?
Abba. Appreciate everything you do. So sweet. Way to
Is
go.
that from your?
Minsky's.
Is that your credit card? That's
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go on the back end of the campaign and see which credit card they use. Good
switch
point.
it up to theirs.
David Posey, Daniel Hattie Bloom, we already acknowledged. Thank you to all those who are supporting the campaign. Huge thank you to Eli Stefansky. Great conversation, really inspiring.
It's
Refael
amazing.
Kruskal, we're praying, we're donating, and we're praying Tikva, Odessa, the orphans, the community of Odessa. So grateful. Rabbi Brody, Gilly's Goodies, deliver a gift. Are you
Gilly's
sending
Goodies.
you're sending Shalach Manas to Eli
I think about
Stefansky?
Gilly's Goodies. I was in Israel and I needed a ride. I needed a ride to get somewhere, and I don't even know how this even came up, but he picked me up. David picked me up. This guy's like the biggest man. She showed me how.
Hold
they
on,
do
this
it.
just in. Hold on, this just in. The Brody Siyum will take place August 1st, 2029, the 20th of Av, 5789. Somebody
How old,
already.
can you ask your guy how old I will be at that point?
How old you'll be? You should be able to do that math. 7.5 years, buddy. Your Siyum you'll finish with Chagiga 19, August 1st, 2029. 20th of Av, 5789. Our original fact checker is telling us. We also have everybody telling us Rabbi Stefansky is live on YouTube, 12:15 a.m. Eastern time. If you want to hear him live and you
I wanna
stay up
be
late
live.
at night, or when you
Is
wake
there a
up. You can
Zoom
hear 'em.
link? How do I get the Zoom link? I'm watching him on YouTube now.
You want to join at Zoom? You haven't been awake at 12:15 a.m. in the last 10 years. I text you at 8 o'clock at night. You're already sleeping. This is the latest you've been up.
Maybe tonight we'll probably get there, right?
This 2-hour behind the beam is the latest you've been up in 10 years. I don't know. Rabbi Broide, so Gilly's Goodies. Everybody send a gift to a soldier.
I love Gilly's
Send a gift
Goodies.
to your loved ones. Here, let's close out with this question. This Friday, big game. NCAA tournament, Division 3, big berth, Yeshiva University. They're playing your alma mater, John Hopkins.
That's right.
Who
It's a
you rooting for?
no-brainer. I'm all in on Johns Hopkins.
How could it be? Is it Johns Hopkins or John Hopkins? I'm obviously a YU guy.
It's Johns Hopkins.
Johns
It's weird.
Hopkins?
It's like, why is it Johns Hopkins? It should be
Why is
John.
it Johns Hopkins? Yeah, it's a strange name.
Yeah.
Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
So you're all in. First of all,
I'm going for a Hopkins, my alma mater. I'm going to put on my sweatshirt, my Hopkins sweatshirt.
do you know what sport they'll be playing?
No, I don't even know who you said they're playing against.
Why? What do you mean? The Max.
Oh, it's YU.
The YU Max. You kidding? This is a crazy team.
Oh, now I got a little bit of a.
This is the first Jewish alley-oop in history.
Are there any Jews? Are there any Jews on the
championship game? They won the championship. They got to make berth in the NCAA tournament, and there was an alley-oop. It was an alley-oop dunk. 2 Jews. That doesn't happen. Now it's
is this the championship game or it's just a regular season game?
No, now you're in the tournament, the big dance. So depending how you do each round, you go up and then you.
How many rounds are we away from winning this tournament?
The truth is, I've exhausted everything I know so far. Now you're making me look bad. NCAA tournament, big dance, but it's Johns Hopkins. His first name was an old family last name. Named for the great grandmother Margaret Johns, the daughter of Richard Johns. Johns Hopkins is the first name is based on the old family last name. So I now know more about your alma mater.
It's way too late. I don't even know what that even means.
It's way
too
late.
Let me ask you a question. Are there any Jews on the Johns Hopkins team?
That's a good question. I don't
because
know.
then I don't feel so bad rooting for them.
My buddy in Muncie, David Samet, says there are 64 teams that make the tournament. Division 3, I guess, operates the same way as Division 1, Division 2. And 64 teams, they're brackets. You pick your team.
Okay.
This is actually an old West Wing joke. In the old West Wing episode, everyone's picking their brackets, their picks, and someone makes a joke about having Yeshiva University in whatever bracket. And it was like hilarious because whoever heard of YU, why in the West Wing were they talking about YU's basketball team? But now that joke is real. It's for real.
Amazing.
They're in the tournament.
By the way, I was just at the Atlanta Scholars Kollel, and they have these brackets. They have these big boards up in their shul in Beth Jacob there. It's called Mishnah Madness. And what they do is they put 2 guys against each other, and 2 guys are vying who can learn more. And then whoever won, like you learned more Mishnah than the next guy, you move up. So by the time you get into the final 2, it's like out of control. These guys are just, how much can you learn in 24 hours?
Right. Well, big shout out. You may be rooting, but I'm rooting for our former guests on Behind the Beam. I texted him after the big championship win. Coach Steinmetz, Ryan Terrell. We had a whole discussion. What's a Kiddush Hashem versus Jewish pride? We concluded, especially Ryan Terrell plays with his yarmulke. He's a mensch, talks about Hashem, davens on the game. Eli Steinmetz understands the context and doesn't see it more than just a sport while he's teaching Midos. I saw it after he pointed it out on Behind the Bima. You could see it. It's unusual. But if a player falls down, the YU team picks up a player on the other side. In the NBA, you know what they do? They step over the player. Right. There's actually like famous footage of like stepping over the player on the other team. Nice. The YU guys, Midos, Derech Eretz Kadma Torah. So we're rooting for the YU Max all the way. Although last time, right after they were behind the Bima, we broke their 50-game winning streak. And actually on Twitter, we were accused of being the Ayin Hara. Right. So we're not going to say anything. We're not even saying who we wish for, what we want for them. We are not weighing in whatsoever. All we're weighing in is learning Torah. At least
you know what? That's another reason to support Behind the Bima and support the global campaign. Because
nice.
How many people right now do you think have probably said to themselves, you know what? I'll give this thing a shot.
Yeah.
And I never would have heard about it. I didn't know about it. I wouldn't have heard about it unless it was from Behind the Beam on the global campaign. So
I got also big thank you to Shlomo Fried, my friend Shlomo Fried out in Denver, big supporter of the global campaign, BRS, everything that we do. But it's amazing. I got emails from people who are like, again, in love with his daf, emails from people doing the daf. I got emails from men and women doing the daf with him who are loving it. And that text, you got to see this picture. I posted it already, but you got to see this picture. You got Behind the Bima on the big screen, and then on the desk is the Gemara. And he says, I got these delivered a year ago. They've been on a shelf, but I think I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm starting.
I love it. I love how he has his logo on those Art Scroll Gemaras. It just shows it's a real force to be reckoned with. Like they don't put their logos on just any, any program. So he's built something special. I love it. I don't know if I'm frozen or you're frozen, but not sure if I should just keep talking. Don't know. Support the global campaign. Is that me? Let me check. Who's frozen? Who is frozen? No. I guess it's me. Okay, I'm going to keep spoken. Okay. Welcome to Behind the Bima. I'm Josh Broide. I'm your host. And I'm here actually tonight. Let me get on one block here. Just to tell you to support the global campaign. It's actually nice not having Rabbi Goldberg here for just a few moments. Because maybe I don't want to say it in front of him, but he's pretty good. He's actually very good. I think everyone here knows, he's really one of a kind. And the fact that he not only goes out of his way for our Jewish community locally, right here in Boca Raton, and every one of us are zocha and so excited to be able to have that opportunity to speak to him, interact with him on a regular basis because he's local and he's here. What a privilege. What an incredible opportunity that is. But now, all of you, every single one.
I got knocked off the internet, but I'm back.
I didn't
I'm
know.
back.
Well, I would like to introduce my special guest tonight, Rabbi Efrem. Welcome.
I got knocked off. I don't know what happened to the internet. I don't know. Is the shul programmed 11 p.m. The internet goes off? I had to this is evidence. This is a live program. I had to use a hotspot from my phone to come back with you.
I got to thank Benny Michel with that because he said, "You're frozen. I should keep going." I didn't know which one of us was frozen. So
I didn't know when I came back whether you'd still be there. I'm happy you kept going.
I'm here.
Awesome.
Keep going.
That was awesome.
We might have said some nice things.
Did you? All right. Well, anyway, the global campaign. If you enjoy
let's
a
see
night
what
like
comes
tonight,
in right now.
night like tonight, Eli Stefansky, Refael Kruskal, Ukraine. Where are you going to get all this? Whoa, big donation. Thank you for helping somebody grow in their avoda. $750 anonymous. Huge.
Yeah,
huge.
That's what happens.
We
when
hit
you
20.
go up. You know what? Maybe go up again for another minute. Let me take the show.
We officially hit 25% of our goal. We are a quarter of the way there, but we need your help to get all the way there. So if you enjoy, if you read, listen, watch, laugh, learn, inspired, cry, if you enjoy, BROnline.org/global. Do it right now.
I want to tell you what Eli Stefansky like really made me think tonight. And I'm sure he made all of us think. Like, what are we doing that we could be doing a lot better? I'm thinking that on Friday Night Live. Okay, how do you take it to the next level? Okay, so there's a bunch of people sitting around and we have a great thing. He had 5 people, and now look where he is. You do your class on whatever, weekday morning. Okay, it's great. It's a few hundred people, but maybe there's something. Okay, next year it could be 10,000 people. Not to take away to do the daf. It's not about doing the daf.
By the way, I already got a text. People think that I just faked that I got knocked off the internet, so people will give to the global campaign to pay for our Wi-Fi. I wish I was smart enough to think of that.
I know.
I wish.
There's no plan.
I wish I was smart enough to think of that. Oh, you know what? Let's make it. It'll be hilarious. We'll make it like I got knocked off, and then no way. I wish we were smart enough. Not smart enough for that. But please give to the global campaign. We need everybody's help. Difference that you make to help us get our Torah out there. brsonline.org/global. Well, we got to delete some stuff right now. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, tell us.
Big shout out to Boy Gary. I'm sorry. I found out who it was. So I just want to give a big, hey now. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up. This was the short edition. Next week, as part of the global campaign, we got the long show. Let us know. You can comment here on YouTube or you can email us, be in touch with us. Let us know what you'd like to see next week on Behind the Bima. We have amazing guests lined up, but as part of the global campaign, we want to take you behind the Bima. So we're going to do another marathon episode with our staff and may have some surprise guests come back. And maybe we'll get the Goldberg. Broide children, what do you think? Can we get
I'm not even going to be in Florida next week again. I'm going to be out of town.
Never in Florida. You don't live in Florida. You can't even. Do you register your taxes in Florida? Are you a resident of Florida?
Barely. Pre-corona, I think we were in Israel 4 months out of the year.
I'm not even sure that you're a resident of Florida.
Right.
It's a question. It's a question. So would the Broide children do it? Would they go behind the Bima, Rabbi's Children Edition?
You know who would do it? I think Ayala and Jake would do it. I think
Ayala and
they're in
Jake.
Israel. It'd be, yeah, I think they would be excited to do it. They're doing some
Nice.
good things in Israel. IDC, JLIC.
They're doing great stuff. What it's like to be a rabbi's child.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get one. I can get one. It's a fight.
Okay.
I got 7 kids. I can't. None of them. They're screaming at me in capital letters on text right now that I'm even thinking about it, suggesting it, considering it, wondering about it. So maybe my 9-year-old will come on.
We should just bring another random kid. Like maybe people won't know it's not your kid. And just let's just pay them to be your kid.
Behind the Bima. You know? You really want to find behind the Bima, you get like, I don't know if you ever have like a part-time housekeeper, anybody who helps you at home. Get them on behind the Bima. What's really going on?
Right.
The babysitters, you know, they're the ones who really know what's going on.
They're taking notes.
They know the truth.
Yeah.
We still got a lot of people with us. Thank you for listening. It's a little marathon session. And for the last time, again, thanks, Gilly's Goodies. If you want to send a gift to a soldier in Israel, you want to send a gift to Eli Stefansky, you have kids in Israel, gillysgoodies.com, promo code BIMA, BIMA. Again, help Tikva Odessa.com/relief. Need all the support they can get. And our global campaign, help us pay for decent Wi-Fi. Help us pay for decent technology. We can continue to bring you behind the Bima. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay holy.